Hello and welcome to a special edition of Fragmaster's Fox Friday as we celebrate 13 years of Fragmaster racing in Live for Speed. We've got over 30 drivers taking part in this event as they battle it out over 110 laps in the streets of South City. It's Andy Alston here in for Pete Butcher, and we've got two voices joining us in the commentary box. One is a driver who needs no introduction at Fragmaster. He was on the grid in the first official Fox Friday back in 2010 and plays a big role behind the scenes to help bring us these events on Live for Speed. It is, of course, Zdravko Topolnjak, and Zdravko, this is an event that Fragmaster will have been looking forward to for a very long time.
Yeah, hello everyone. Yeah, it's a big one for us. 13 years of weekly racing. We're kind of proud of it to have come so far.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're also joined in the commentary box by Zdeněk, Cagaš, and Zdeněk. There's lots of very fast drivers out there on the grid, and it will be very interesting to see how they approach the first few laps at this endurance event.
That is correct. Of course, we have a few favorites who will be battling it out for the top position, but I do believe this race will be interesting throughout the whole field.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's take a quick look at the track for this event. Of course, we are at the South City long layout, which is 4 kilometres or 2.5 miles. We've got 15 corners in total, 9 to the left, 6 to the right, with a mixture of long straights and tight technical corners. And Zdravko, this is such a great track to drive, isn't it?
Yeah, you gotta take your chances with the walls. The closer you get, the faster you are. And yeah, it's great when you get it right. Not so awesome when you don't get it right, and it's easy to do a mistake, so there will be heaps of concentration that are needed to finish the race in good position.
Yeah, absolutely. And when we take a look at the car that the drivers will be racing for this event, it's of course the Fox, also known as the Formula XR. It's a rear-wheel drive, a 2-litre engine producing 190 brake horsepower, and Zdeněk, it's a car that's very, very popular on Live for Speed.
Well, it is. It indeed is one of the most popular throughout the whole LFS existence since it's been released in LFS S2 back in 2005. I have to congratulate to Fragmasters for keeping this event alive for so long. Thanks also to the popularity of this car. But yeah, it is a very fun car to drive. Just enough power to keep you on your toes, but not too difficult if you are a beginner.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a very rewarding car to drive, and one that will be very interesting to see how things unfold at this race in a few moments' time. So let's take a quick look at our broadcast schedule for 2023. Here we are at South City, and we'll be off to Kyoto next week for the National Reverse Grid, and keep an eye out for confirmation of the circuits that we'll be racing at throughout the year here at Fragmaster's Fox Friday. So this is it, the action about to get underway here in Live for Speed. We've got 1 minute to go until the lights go out, so let's have a quick reminder just of the grid for this one. Qualifying is similar to most of Fragmaster's big events. The drivers will generally set a time in advance of the session, so we know the standing order for this one, and it will be very interesting to see how things unfold for that one as well. Zdravko, lots of fast drivers throughout the field here, as we've mentioned, and when we think about the finalised grid, I should say, it's a very, very interesting one to say the least. We do have Team Cyrus on pole position for that one, ahead of Roda Preza Master Race Car in third place as well, and very, very close between these teams in the times. Not a lot to separate them throughout the field.
Yeah, I mean, Cyrus have been having a strong hold on open wheel racers in LFS, and they're proving it again today. But Roda Preza TJ has teamed up with Neiva, and that's a formidable lineup. So I expect we will see some fun at the front, and in the middle of field we also have some fast races. It will be like reminiscent of every Fox Friday race. Wherever in the grid you are, you always have someone that has similar skill to you, so you always have a fun race.
Yeah, absolutely, and lots of drivers running the full 110 laps on their own, but we do have a couple of driver pairings throughout the field as well. So Zdeněk, it'll be interesting to see when these teams do change drivers and what impact that has on this race.
Yeah, I cannot exactly remember what is the range, fuel range of this car. I do believe it's just under 1 hour. Correct me if I'm wrong, but still, I do believe I just think Cyrus are the favorites for me. With Gabor, the stronger driver. If you can tell about Botsi that he's a not strong driver, which I don't think he is bad, but Gabor obviously a better driver in Formula cars. I see there is also the second team on the grid from Brazil, Neiva and TJ. They will be swapping positions, swapping seats in the car, and also number 15 car of Rakes and Yerloco. Yeah, the strategy will be interesting to see. I do believe there might be 2 swaps, but we will see what the teams come up with.
Yeah, definitely, and it's going to be a race as well as the Zdravko, where trying to manage your fuel as well could be an important factor.
Yeah, I think that probably tires will be more important, because with fuel, it kind of forces you for at least 2 stops, at least. But with tires, there's some tactics to play depending if you're using soft or a harder type of tire, or maybe a combination of both. I think some teams will try that, softer tire on the front and harder tire on the rear, and could play out interestingly, because some people might double stint the tire, especially if they try to double stint it with a bit of less fuel. Maybe they will lose out on having one more pit stop, but in theory they should be faster in the race, so it could even out.
Yeah, it could well do, and it's of course a very long start-finish straight that we have here at South City. And Zdeněk, if you can save a little bit of time by not having to go down pit lane, then that could be beneficial towards the end of this race.
Indeed, I think... sorry, I'm having some difficulties here. Sorry, I do agree. I don't... Sorry.
Yeah, so it's one where you look at we can just see it on the grid, or the pit lane, I should say, just on the left-hand side of the field here. Just that red line along the track map is a very, very long pit straight. So be interesting to see just how the drivers approach this race, and if they can try and minimise time spent in pit lane, that could be very, very beneficial for them towards the end of this race. Of course, 110 laps at this South City layout here, 15 corners overall. Very, very interesting mix of fast and low speed corners. particularly just as you come through the left-hander turn number 2. Goes into a very demanding part of the track. Have to get your braking points absolutely down to precision. Can't go any further because, you know, before you know it, you can find yourself in the barriers. So it's all about being precise through that first sector of the lap, and then you can just begin to build a little bit of speed in the car before you're again hard on the brakes down into the right-hander hairpin. Again, a very, very narrow part of this track before it opens up once more, a very long straight into left-hander hairpin turn number 14, and then right-handed kink to the start-finish straight in Zdravko. A track that is very, very fast but very challenging for these drivers.
Yeah, there are parts that are fast, second and third sector, and the first sector is mainly consisted out of 90 degrees turns, and they really test your precision.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's go trackside with the drivers making their way to the grid. So the action about to get underway here at South City. 110 laps here in Fragmaster's Fox Friday. We're about to get the action underway. It's Gabor in pole position on the right-hand side. The lights go up and we're away. This race is underway. It's a very good start by Gabor here in the number 5 car. And he's got the chasing pack hot on his heels, mind you. Zesty there looking lively as well, trying to get into second place, but all making their way through cleanly. And this is going to be the big talking point as we go into this left-hander. Who can make their way through here? And all cars managing to come through unscathed. So good, clean start for all the drivers throughout the field. But it is a change at the front though, because Gabor has gone from third place. He started this one on the front row in pole position, but he finds himself down into third place. And there's Ayub also there just on the inside going into the chicane. He's just been compromised on the exit as well, coming under a little bit of pressure from the cars behind here as well. So Ayub currently in 7th place. Fragmaster's Christian looking to put him under a little bit of pressure here, potentially going to try and make an overtake with this very fast part of the circuit. But of course we now go hard on the brakes into the right-hander hairpin. So it looks like 7th place will remain Ayub's for the moment. Just up the road, Onifis in 6th place, just trying to close down Igor and Roger Chen. But that front 3, Gabor is now in 3rd place, and Zdravko, he'll be very disappointed with his start to the race. Started in pole position, but he now has it all to do.
Yeah, Gabor tried to cover up the inside, but Meira sent the car on the inside anyway, and on the exit there was just no space for Gabor. They touched a bit, it was a slight touch, so no big damage to any car, but Gabor lost traction and lost place to Zesty too, as we see a big fight for, that is P5 I think?
Yeah, it's P5 here. It looks like Ayub just trying to make his way through the field here. A little bit of pressure from the cars behind here as well, but Ayub does take 5th place, Onifis in 6th, Igor in 7th. But Onifis coming under a little bit of pressure here, but does crucially have the inside into the right-hander, but he's gone wide and he's hit the barriers on the exit, so Onifis goes down into 7th place, and he is now coming under a little bit of pressure from all those cars behind here as well. So Onifis has got it all to do here. Lucas trying to make a move here for 7th place, and Zdeněk, this has been a very interesting start to this race.
Indeed, we are already seeing drivers making mistakes, hitting the barriers, which is costing them places as we predicted. And obviously, as it will be happening on this track, Gabor being the most prominent victim, as Zdravko and you have mentioned, it's very tight in some corners. If you make some slight mistake, you are off. As we see some driver spinning in the hairpin. Was that not Ayub, as we saw on the graphic? It was somebody else. But Onifus, he tried to cover the inside, went deep on the brakes, and overshot the corner, which allowed Igor to get through.
Absolutely, and Igor is determined to try and get into 5th place here, because he's got a very good run down the start-finish straight here as we go under the motorway ramp here, I should say, and into the tricky left-hander, hard on the brakes here, down into third gear, and Igor trying to just reel in Ayub, but Ayub is doing a very good defensive job here. But notice the gap here that we're seeing, Zdravko, between 4th and 5th place. There is a bit of a gap beginning to develop here.
Yeah, top 4 have checked out, and there's a big train behind AU. I think up to like P11, P12, there's a distance of like only 5 seconds. So all to play there. The start was quite aggressive for some drivers. There's still 107 laps to go. So it will be interesting how it plays out, but for now I think the talking points will be, can Gabor pull it back, and can Ayub hold the true train?
Yeah, absolutely. It's there is our race leader, the number 72 car here, Zesty, 1.4 seconds behind, just looking through the field here, and we've got a world-class Lions car moving into 10th place as well. That's a move on Donny there, who in the red car, into 11th. So let's see how things can go here. This is Joni Katila we are following, and he's just going to have to go defensive here. He does crucially take the inside lane. Look how narrow he's gone there as they cross the start-finish line, and he does have a little bit of a gap, but can he hold on to the position here? Potentially Donny thinks better of it, and Zdeněk, I did wonder if Donny was going to try and make a pass and throw that car up the inside there, but decides to just stay behind for the moment.
Yeah, I don't think he would have fit through this place. It's like very fast S section, which if you are taking it on your own, it's straight away, but if you are taking it side by side, both drivers need to take extra caution to get through safely, and usually if one driver is not paying much attention or is too aggressive, it ends up in tears.
Yeah, absolutely, and with 4 laps already gone in this race, potentially you don't want to be trying to take risks that you don't need to in this part of the race. So Donny opting to hold on to 11th place at the moment, and just up the road we've got a bit of a scrap here developing for 9th position here. Side by side action as we go into the long straight here, and eventually we will just loop in to the left here, but it's a good scrap here. 4 cars in fact making their way through turn 14 to the final phase of this lap here. Could we potentially see the draft coming in here? Let's ride on board with 10th place man Riggs, who is very close indeed. A bit of a bump almost there, but looks like no damage thankfully, but very close action here as we go through the long sweeping left-hander, fastest part of the circuit here, really down hard on the brakes into third gear for the left-hander, and this is a very interesting battle that is beginning to develop here, Zdeněk.
Indeed, Rake's definitely going to try and overtake some drivers ahead, but Sidus B team, as you could call them, judging by their current on-track position, will not be an easy nut to crack, so will not be Lucas, Onifus or anyone ahead, so Rakes will have to be patient and wait for a mistake probably.
Yeah, certainly, and another driver looking to pounce on any possible mistakes is this man here, Joni Katila, currently 9th place, but he's putting Lucas under a lot of pressure, and he's got a very good run here as we make our way on the straight. We could potentially see a change for 8th position in this race. Joni Katila goes up the inside, gets the move done nice and early, and he will move into 8th place, but he just has to be mindful of a return attack here from Lucas, because Lucas of course will now have the draft as we make our way along the start-finish straight. So Joni Katila will need to go defensive here. He can't rely on any of the draft ahead of him, so look how narrow he goes here indeed. But it looks like, I think there's a draft code. Is Lucas just lifting off the throttle here and opting to stay behind, and again just doesn't throw the car up the inside? Very interesting approach here from Lucas.
Well, I think we need to remember this is 13th anniversary, so there has been over 700 races here, and drivers know each other. Lucas knows how fast Joni Katila is. So I think he decided there not to fight and lose time, but to hold behind Joni and try to capitalize when Joni inevitably catches 2 cars ahead.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's an endurance race after all, so sometimes you just gotta play the long game.
Yeah, definitely. And if you can try and work together with the cars around you, you can make your way through the field very quickly indeed. But Igor here just looking to try and make a move here on Ayub for 5th place. Ayub has been doing a very strong defensive start to this race, that coming under a bit of pressure from that train of cars behind him here. Igor will be one who will be trying to make his way through the field and try and secure that 5th place, because crucially there is a bit of a gap beginning to develop between the leading 4 cars and then into 5th place. So Igor will be keen to try and put Ayub under a little bit of pressure, but as Zdravko rightly mentioned, this is of course an endurance special. 7 laps on the board here at South City, so a long way to go until the finish of this one. So Zdeněk, when we're racing in endurance events, it's important to get a clean start and then try and build confidence behind the car and try and manage the tyres as well as part of that.
Indeed, drivers seem to have picked all the R2 set of tires, which is the most obvious option for this combo and for this type of race, as it will last them the longest. And as Zdravko already mentioned, the tires are the key factor in this race. They might last over one stint, I think. So they will have to be extra careful to not flat spot the tires, so they don't have to change them if it's not necessary. Also, as we see on the screen, I was about to bring the attention back to the drivers in 9th and 10th place, as we spoke about Lucas, who was overtaken by Sidus Monkey, and he was struggling right from that point and got already overtaken by Rakes, who was on his tail for 2 laps and gets the job done.
Yeah, meanwhile Joni got Ohnifus, so Joni has climbed up to 7th position.
Yeah, definitely. And Lucas having an attempt here to try and get that position back, but he's on the outside here as we go into the left-hander, and trying to get a cutback on exit, almost going side by side here, but of course crucially on the outside into the right-hander. So Lucas will have to settle for 10th place at the moment. Donny in the red car not far behind as well, and looking like he's trying to get involved in this battle for 9th position, but Lucas very unlucky there at the moment. But here is Donny. Let's ride on board with him here, because he is in the prime position here. If the 2 cars ahead of him continue to fight, he could pick up the pieces and go from 11th to 9th place in one corner potentially, and this is one of the toughest on this track, this very slow right-hander. It's all about trying to get the power down as early as you can here as well, but also avoiding the barriers on exit here, very narrow here, and eventually as we make our way up and onto the straight, the track begins to thankfully just open up a little bit. But just noticing here, Zdravko, that Donny is dropping back a little bit from the 2 cars ahead of him.
Yeah, it could be that Donny is running more downforce, or it could be that he is running more fuel. But what I was checking about was tire strategy, and most of the grid runs soft tires at the front, medium tires at the back, but before Roger Chen runs soft tires on both sides of the car, and he's not that far back from Gabor, and I predict that he will be faster in the second phase of his stint. So this will be interesting to watch as Donny closes on Lucas in the tight turns now, so that kind of tells us that he has more downforce.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the very tight and technical part of the South City layout here, and look how close Donny has got here to Lucas, fighting for P10s, but P9 Riggs has almost checked out here, so it's a battle for 10th place at the moment, but this is a very hard place to try and get any overtakes without a mistake from the car ahead of you, but Donny just trying to get as much of the draft here as possible, but as Zdravko points out, this is where the setup of the car will be very important here, because he has a little bit more wing suspect, and here he is coming under attack, is Donny from the 12th place driver Pablo. So we could potentially see a change for P12, and we do indeed, because it's Christian, I beg your pardon, Pablo just a little bit further behind. So Christian, the Fragmaster driver, makes his way into 11th place, but again, he will now have to defend that position from Donny. So Donny is trying to put him under pressure, but Zdeněk, this is, as Zdravko mentions, where the setup of these cars is going to be so important, because if you decide to run a little bit more downforce, it can cost you in the long straights here, of course.
Indeed, and as you said, even in the hairpin, it was difficult for the car to overtake. And it's the hardest braking spot on the whole track. So you have to hope to be in a good position on the long straights and try to outdraft your opponent. As we see Zesty already having to defend from Gabor, who caught up with him. Still, it's a battle for second and third position, and seems like the first place car is already checked out. He's many seconds ahead of these two, almost 5 seconds already. So let's see how Gabor deals with this, so he doesn't lose as much time as he would like.
Yeah, absolutely. And Zdravko, what will Gabor be thinking here? Because he started this race in pole position, but 10 laps gone here at Fragmaster's Fox Friday. He now finds himself in 3rd place and over 5 seconds behind the race leader. So what do you think he'll be looking to do here? Is it a case of just trying to focus, it's a very long race, or do you think he'll be keen to try and make his way back through the field?
Well, at the moment it does look like Zesty is a bit slower, as we see Donny overtaking Christian. So let's see, this will be interesting in the first turn. Who will lift off? No one, it looks like, but Donny will take it, unless Christian sends one on the inside. He decides not to. Smart move. So Donny takes the place, and so back to Gabor and Zesty. I think Gabor will try to overtake as soon as possible, but it looks like Zesty has a bit less downforce, so he is faster on the straights, and we will see how it develops. If Gabor can't overtake cleanly, there's no point in risking, so he just has to try to find a place to overtake, and if he doesn't, he has to think strategically, maybe pit sooner, as he gets into the draft now, and he is closing up. Won't be good enough, I think, for this turn, but let's see how he exits the turn. Zesty got a good exit now. Yeah, I mean, Gabor is very good, but Zesty is also very good. They were fighting every race in Formula E Challenge, if you remember.
Yeah, absolutely. Two very fast drivers, and that is playing into the hands of our race leader, because that gap between first and second place is almost 6 seconds now. So the longer Zesty and Gabor continue to fight over second place, we will see that gap extend for the race leaders. So there is Zesty currently in second place at the moment, but Gabor putting under a little bit of pressure here, as we'll have to navigate a bit of traffic as well, but there's contact between Zesty and the traffic, so Zesty now finds himself in a world of problems. Gabor has the run on the long part of this straight, so this will be Gabor's chance to try and take second place in this race. Gabor on the inside as we go hard on the brakes into the right-hander hairpin. Gabor goes into second place, and he will be delighted with that. It's very disappointing stuff for Zesty, and Zdravko, Zesty just found himself catching the traffic at the wrong time.
Yeah, but it's not over, I think. It's not over. Zesty is catching up on Gabor. That's definitely less downforce on Zesty's car. They go side by side. Gabor has the inside, but Zesty could have better exit, and he does. Let's see what happens into turn 1.
I think Gabor will not let this go because he's been waiting for a long time to get out of the third place. Zesty might try to go around the outside here, but I don't think this will play in his favor. He's has to go the longer way. He will be on the outside for the first corner. Gabor brakes in time, nice and steady through the apex, and he gets the second position done for now.
Yeah,
That was half of a lap side by side.
absolutely great action there. Great defensive driving by Gabor as well to hold on to second place. But as the Zdravko mentions, that battle is not done just yet. But we'll keep an eye on that action. But let's take a look at this fight for 7th place at the moment. Ayub looking to put Onifis, the Fragmaster driver, under a little bit of pressure here, but just kissing the wall on the exit of the corner. And look at the gap that's now developing. 0.3 of a second is the gap to P7 at the moment, so Ayub has it all to do now. But let's take a look just down the field here. 18th place at the moment. A little bit of a scrap here. Side by side action going through this narrow phase of the lap, but yes, very good action throughout the field here, and it's a couple of very interesting battles just in this midfield. And what we're seeing as well, of course, is a bit of a theme that we saw at the start of this race, where we've got a big trail of cars there just from around P8 or so, all the way down to 12th and 13th, not too far behind in the grand scheme of things. But this is a very interesting battle here, developing the number 29 car, not quite close enough to make this move, unfortunately. But Zdravko, it's very tricky to defend when you've got these very long straights going into hairpin corners. You've got to commit early to the inside. But you mentioned the setups and the importance of setups here. So if the drivers are taking a little bit, you could be very vulnerable down these straights.
Yeah, you really gotta capitalize on the downforce in the twisty bit and make the advantage, because if you don't, you're dead to rights. As we see, Skero overtaking Adol for 17th place. He did it on the straight.
Yeah.
There's a fight back. There's a big sand, and Adol manages to stop it in time.
Look at that side-by-side action there on the exit, and Adol managing to retain the position. That is the first big move we've seen up the inside into the left-hander. So Adol makes the move for 17th, but can he hold on to that position? This is again one of the very challenging parts of the track, as Scattle finds that out the hard way, trying to get the power down on the exit. The car is very loose at the rear, so he is conceding a couple of tenths of a second here to Adol in 17th place. So Adol doesn't really need to go too defensive into that right-hander as a result. But this is the part of the lap where Scattle might potentially get the move. But Zdeněk, he looks a little bit far behind at the moment.
Yeah, but I would like to bring attention to the back marker, who had an important role with the Gabor Zesty fight. He's just ahead of these guys. He just spun. It's his second spin this lap. So the guys are very lucky to not be involved. Still, he gets in the way of another car. So he should pit for new tires, hopefully. But let's see if he does. Yes, he goes to the pit lane, thankfully. Because you still have to count on these back markers. I mean, Zesty and Gabor have been driving behind him for quite a while. He must have had a blue flag. Still, he decided not to go out of the way, and in the end, he played unwanted role in the battle. So yeah, I think admins will have a look at that during or after the race, if possible.
So we are back to Adal and Skero fight for P17, and as a Fragmaster team member, only thing that I can think about is that's one hell of a commercial for our races. So P17 fighting 3 laps to get a position and going side by side in like 10 turns. That's the fun you get when you race at Fox Friday.
Yeah, certainly is. Great action throughout the field here. We've also got a battle developing for 14th place. Fragmaster's Alston here looking to hold on to that position at the moment, and it's going to be a very important one because there's quite a gap between 13th and 14th at the moment. So this is the prime position here at the moment in this part of the field. Alston holding on to 14th place in this one, so very interesting battle beginning to develop. And Zdeněk, you mentioned the incident between Gabor and Zesty. Just looking at that gap on the timing tower between first and second place, it's now 9 seconds.
Yeah, still, I was watching Gabor's lap times before he passed Zesty, and he already improved his best lap time by 0.3 of a second. Still, it's not enough for Neva, who is driving consistently faster than Gabor, so there he will have to pull something extra out of his sleeve. Gabor, the usual suspect in Formula cars, winning most of the time, but today, judging by the first 16 completed laps, it's not his day, as Neva just drives the fastest lap of the race, 1:31.89, and the gap is now 9.7 seconds.
What I find interesting is that Gabor isn't running away from Zesty. If Chris can show the camera, we will see that Zesty is joined to Gabor's gearbox. It has been like 5 laps since Gabor passed Zesty, and all he has managed to muster up is 0.3 of advantage, and that's all.
So, Zdravko, why do you think that's the case? Is Gabor just focusing on defending at the moment, or is Zesty really putting the fast laps in here and putting him under pressure?
It's hard to tell. Zesty is a fast guy. Gabor could be rattled by the start. His tires look to be a bit harder, so it could be a setup issue. There could also be just a fuel weight issue where Gabor maybe has more fuel on board and Zesty has less. But they're quite close in skill, so it's hard to tell. My hunch would be fuel, but I think we will see soon enough when the pit windows open.
Yeah, absolutely. And Donny just making the move for 10th place on Lucas. There's a very, very good battle between these two drivers. So Donny is rounding out the top 10 at the moment and 1.3 seconds behind 9th place Ayub. So really good battles here throughout the field at Fragmaster's Fox Friday. The Zdravko, as you mentioned, there's really good battles throughout the field here, and we're seeing one more for 14th place. Alston still managing to keep that position, and that's the great thing about Fox Fridays, the Zdravko, is you're always going to get a battle no matter where you are in the field.
Yeah, and this fight for P14 between Alston and Ledex highlights one more thing. Ledex is running harder tires than Alston, and at this point of the race, I presume his car should be faster. So he might pass, but then like 10 laps later, when the soft tires get in the range, he will be under big attack, so it will be fun for him whole race long, and it really highlights the difference in strategy. There you go.
Absolutely, as we've seen Finn UK just a little bit loose with that car there, I thought, Zdeněk. It was a bit of a battle for 17th place with Adol there, so this seems like it's going to be a fight that's going to be very lively indeed, but Zdeněk, Finn UK looking very, very fast here at this part of the track, potentially going to make the move side by side here as they go into a very challenging part of the track here, but Finn UK just wisely holding on to the brakes a little bit more, getting the move done on the cutback there. Adol just got a little bit loose on the inside and just overshot the corner. So Finn UK in 17th place for the moment.
It's far from over. Adol is getting back. Formula XR gives plenty of drafts, so if you're close enough on the exit of the turn before the long straight, you have a chance, and Adol took it.
He certainly did. So Finn UK 18th at the moment, but got a look to try and swoop round there potentially. Thinks better of it, opts to take a little bit more of the draft here, and now he goes into the inside line and makes the move done well before the corner. So Finn UK takes the position once more, but in fact he now has concedes it. Finn UK has to concede the move into the left hand, but he's not done just yet, but finds himself crucially on the outside line. So Adol just parking the car on the exit and putting no options available to Finn UK to try and snatch back that position. And it almost looked like Finn UK had that move done and dusted, but Adol just battled back and decided that he wasn't giving that one up without a fight. So Finn UK, let's ride on board with him here, because he's got a very good run along the straight. Side by side they go, and this is the scene of that move one lap earlier. So Finn UK going to try and do it again. Will he make that move on the cutback? He can't quite do it. So Adol holding on to P17. This is great action here at South City, but Zdeněk, 20 laps gone in this race, and if the first 20 laps are anything to go by, this is going to be a great event from start to finish here at Fragmaster's Fox Friday.
Indeed, these drivers, 19 laps in for them, already decided to go all out and have some fun, which is good for everybody, and hopefully good for them if they don't end up in some tangle, hopefully not. Meanwhile, I saw Igor has made his first pit stop just for fuel, less than 6 seconds, drops down to 13th place, so strategy already playing in play in here. This interesting because it's quite early in the race, but I think they might just move the stop to early time and then just do less pit stops later on.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting to see how the strategies unfold here, and I wonder as well, Zdravko, this battle for second place between Gabor and Zesty, the gap is now around 0.6 of a second. So is Zesty looking to maybe try and save his fuel, save his tyres at the moment, potentially?
I wouldn't say about fuel, maybe tires, or maybe just Gabor found his rhythm, because Gabor has sped up a bit. What I would be very worried if I would be Zesty is P4 Roger Chen. Let's remember, Chen is the driver that is running soft tires all around, and in theory he should have fallen behind. But he's right there with them, and this is the point where his car will start to go faster and faster, and development of the speed on Zesty and Gabor will not be the same as it will be for Roger Chen.
Yeah, very interesting to see that one. We could potentially see a three-way fight for second place, but one driver who will need to go defensive here is Ayub, because he's not had a clean lap here, and Lucas is putting him under pressure. Ayub's made a couple of errors here, and he's going to need to just try and refocus here. Looks like potentially be interesting to see there just if Lucas can make the move. Looks like maybe a little bit of damage at the front here, but Lucas is just beginning to try and reel in Ayub if he possibly can here, but all the meanwhile Domi up to 8th place at the moment as well, so he's had a very strong start to this race. There he is there. Donny is in fact very close to 7th place, so it'll be interesting to see what's happening. I think Riggs and he's maybe had an incident with Ayub, and that's maybe caused this change in the order. So let's see if Donny can try and go into 7th place, because he's impressed so far, I have to say. And Zdravko, this is a driver that's just looking to potentially try and make his way through the field, and is looking pretty fast behind the wheel of that car.
Yeah, Donny is, safe pair of hands. As far as I have been watching him through the races, and he does drive for Fragmaster in GTIs and Foxes, he's never risking too much, but he will have to risk now. Race has offered himself on a play to Donny. Let's see how this goes.
Donny's got a very good drive here. Donny goes on the outside though, but he's going to try and hope that the momentum is enough to secure that position. He is on the outside here of the corner. Potentially maybe got a little bit of a chance for a cutback. No, he doesn't, so he has to settle for 8th place at the moment. Of course, we do have this long start finish straight, but we suspect the setup of that car is leaning a little bit more towards downforce for the technical, tight and twisty parts of this track. But Riggs not really pulling away too much here, in fact, so he may go defensive here into this left-hander. He opts against it, so he opens the door here to Donny, who says thanks very much, I'll take that place, but just kissing the barrier on exit, so not managing to pull away too much. But Zdeněk, a really interesting fight between these two cars.
Indeed, but as Zdravko already said, Donny, very, very safe driver, but still fast and consistent. So I think he will be in charge of this battle for a while, and will keep the position unless he makes some mistake. Meanwhile, I was watching the top 3 for you, and have been monitoring the split times, and I think Nivaj is just that fast. There's and Gabor has had some problem. He dropped to 4th place. Whatever happened, I don't know. We haven't seen that one. I was just thinking that these guys in 2nd and Gabor now in 4th are just not fast enough for Neva to catch him. The split times suggest they just don't have it today in them. At the same time, when I was watching the top 3 Neva, it's been 2 laps now. In the highest point of the track, there was a driver spinning in the line, and he almost hit him. It was very close, and it would be a disaster for him because it would cost him a lot of time. So lucky for him, nothing happened, but that was a scary moment for him.
It certainly is. It's lots of action for P2, but Neva also having to do everything he can to secure that position. But 24 laps gone here at South City, and Gabor has it all to do again. So Roger Chen goes into 3rd place. He's on those very fast tyres as well, so we'll be looking to try and close the gap to Zesty for P2. Let's take a look at Finn UK here, currently 19th place at the moment. Looking to try and close down Johnny SVK for P18, but good action here throughout. And Zdravko, we see Finn UK going into pit lane, because looking at the front of that car, there looks like quite a bit of damage.
Yeah, it looks like that car has had a close encounter with a wall. Finn pits to repair the car. Probably will take new tires and fuel, maybe. Could be on the fuel because tires still look okay.
Yeah, so Finn UK will make the early pit stop. So just seeing on the timing tower on the left hand side, a couple of cars who have made pit stops, and Igor, one of them that we mentioned a few laps ago, so we'll keep an eye on him and if he can make his way back through the field here. Riggs currently in 8th place and in a tricky position here, because he can see Donny ahead of him. There he is in the red car, but he's coming under pressure from Ayub in 9th place as well. So Zdravko, this is the position that lots of drivers find very difficult, because they're trying to attack the car ahead, but they also need to defend as well.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword. You wanna attack, you don't pull it off, and then you just get swallowed up. and Ayub is looking racy. He was ahead of Rakes. Then he greeted the wall, so now he's behind, but probably on pure speed I think he could come close.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see just how this battle develops. There is Ayub, currently in 9th place at the moment in the number 25 car, and maybe falling back ever so slightly from Riggs in 8th place. There is Donny just up the road in 7th as well. There is Roger Chen in the pits, Zdravko. So Roger Chen making his first stop of the event. So let's see how things unfold.
I'm betting
here.
on Le Fuel. Betting on Le Fuel because his tires are now in perfect shape. I think we can expect some massive lap times from Roger Chen in the next 20 laps.
Yep.
So the race is 110 laps. If he manages to stretch the tires until lap 55, that means he is on course to pit twice after this pit stop and change tires only once.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see if Roger can try and extend the tyres on this one. But just looking at a leader here, Neva needs to navigate a little bit of traffic. 13.7 seconds is the gap between him and Zesty, but this of course costs him time throughout the lap and will eventually just be a tricky element here for him to deal with. So Neva making his way past Adol here currently in 7th place, and Adol was having some really good battles as well throughout the field. So let's take a look at a couple of other drivers now. Christian, Fragmaster driver, looking to try and make his way up the field here. He's got Lucas just up the road to him. Lucas of course has made a pit stop, so Lucas will be trying to again just reel in Ayub for P9, but a really good battle here as a Zdravko developing, and Christian is a very fast driver as well.
Yeah, Lucas went a bit wide on that last turn, but going wide there actually does allow you to have a good slingshot after the turn. So let's see. At the moment it does look like Christian is a bit faster, but the difference are really minimal. So it will take some digging to get closer to Lucas.
Yeah, definitely. It is of course Igor who's pitted and not Lucas, so that's me getting my two teammates mixed up there. But there is Ayub trying to make the move here for P8, and very tricky part of the track to try and make your way through, and particularly this one, because it can all go wrong on the exit here potentially, as we've seen Riggs getting very, very loose. So this is going to give Ayub a chance here for P8 potentially, if he can get a good clean run here on this very fast part of the track. Of course, we will now go into one of the most difficult parts of this South City layout, that very slow right-hander, all about getting it clean on the exit as well. But Riggs holding on to 8th place at the moment, but Ayub, of course, a driver with lots and lots of pace behind the wheel of that car, and will be determined to try and make his way through the field. We are just looking at the timing tower as well on the left-hand side, because there is our race leader coming in for his first pit stop of the race, and it was a fuel only as well, we suspect, Zdravko, because he's already out of pit lane but now in 3rd place.
But oh my god, he's only a second behind Gabor. That has been a massive first stint.
Yeah, certainly has. There is Ayub once more here. We just mentioned it a moment ago, and trying to make that move for 8th place on Riggs. But there he is, throwing the car up the inside into the left-hander, but goes wide on exit. That allows Riggs to take the position once more. So Ayub will be frustrated with that one. He got the job done on the entry of the corner, but then conceded the position on exit. So Ayub holding on to 9th place as things stand. So very good battle developing here for 8th place in Fragmaster Fox Friday. So very, very good action throughout the field. But Neva, we mentioned, just out of pit lane for his first stop in this race, but there he is there, 3rd place at the moment. 1.9 seconds between him and Gabor. Of course, the two cars ahead of him still to make their first pit stops of this race. Lap 28 here at South City, and Zdravko, this has been a very enjoyable start to this race, but here is another battle, and we could see another change for position.
Yeah, we have Christian attacking Lucas, and those two kind of closed up on Rakes and Ayub as they were fighting. There's a yellow flag, car outside of the track. Christian makes the move. You have to defend. You have to defend from Lucas. I'm out of breath. This has been a non-stop action race from the start until now.
Certainly has. 29 laps gone already here at South City for Fragmaster's Fox Friday. This is a great advert for action here on Live for Speed. Some fantastic action throughout the field, but this is a very, very close battle indeed, and that is a great move for position here, but not done just yet, I suspect. Really, really interesting battle. There is Christian now in 11th place, and Zdravko. This has been great action between these two drivers in particular.
I mean, this is a great showcase of this car. It is nice to drive, kinda easy, but when it bites so hard. As we saw Christian going sideways when he pressed the throttle. The car just said not yet, and yeah, they're all real experienced drivers. I mean, we are looking at very high quality grid, and they don't lose the car. But if you would be new to this car, you would be in the wall with that slide that Christian had.
So, Zdravko, what is the secret to a fast lap in these cars? Because it's one where they are quite light cars, of course. They're ones that produce around 190 brake horsepower. So, what do you need to do as a driver to try and get the most speed as possible out of this car?
I think on this track, first you gotta condition yourself to live with a strong front end. So that naturally means always steer setup, point the car. If you manage to control that, if you manage to be smooth enough, then you just gotta be tight on the apex, go closer to the walls, and time will just come to you. But more than anything, you just need practice. You need to be one with the car on this track, because if you're not, you're gonna end up in the wall sooner or later.
Yeah, and I suppose you need to really trust the car when you're on the exit of the corners as well, because if you take a little bit too much speed, you risk hitting the wall, as you say. But if you're not fast enough, of course, you're losing time. So it's a difficult balancing act to get right here. But we're seeing that Riggs just coming under a little bit of pressure once more from Ayub. This has been a great battle between these two cars for 8th place. Let's see if Ayub can potentially get this move done with the momentum taken from the start-finish straight. Here he'll get a really good tow from 8th place man Riggs, but it doesn't look like he's quite close enough at the moment to make that move for position as we go up the hill and into this very slow left-hander, and then it's of course this tricky two very fast right-handers that hit you before you know it. It's this one in particular where you've got to get your braking point absolutely spot on, but Riggs holding on to that position for the moment, and I'm just looking at the timing tower on the left-hand side, because Neva, our race leader, who of course made the pit stop a few laps ago, is just a few tenths of a second behind Gabor in second place, but there's a bit of a gap developing between Zesty and Gabor at the moment.
It's a bit curious. I think it has to be fuel. I wouldn't say Gabor has lost speed all of a sudden, so I would say Gabor will stay out long. We know from Beer 1 Championship that he likes to start with full tank of fuel. So I predict that he will be the last of the drivers to go into pits, and once he filters out, we will see where he comes out, but Niva has made such a good job on his first stints that I think it's just flat out pushing from now to the end of race for Gabor to even have a chance of being in the fight.
I agree, but I have been watching Gabor, Zesty and Niva again for a few laps while I was having a food break, and Gabor and Zesty are driving much faster time. So as I said earlier, that these guys don't have it in them today, I might have been wrong, because the fuel was probably in play, as Niva had pitted very early, had a very little fuel in his car, and Gabor already posting 31.6, which is very close to the fastest lap of the race, as Niva losing 3/10 in first two splits of this lap. So he's losing a lot of time compared to them, and they are already checking out a bit. The gap was 1.5 seconds, and now it's much more than that, as we see on the timing board. So yeah, Niva with different strategy, and we will see how it plays out. The gap now 4.3 seconds to Gabor, 7.5 seconds to Zesty, and Gabor will be kicking himself for whatever happened to him a few laps back. I don't know, I might check the replay actually, because that cost him like 8 seconds, and that will play a big role in the race later on.
Yeah, it's an interesting one to say the least, but Zdravko, it feels like Niva's race has been all about traffic management here, because we're seeing again he's having to make his way through the field, and it's been a race where he's been in the lead, of course, but he's not had it easy as the number 72 car. So be interesting to see how he approaches in the next few laps.
Yeah, I mean it's never easy in the city, so that has been led to traffic. They have been behaving well as far as I saw, so it will be same for everyone. I think it's going good for Niva. We gotta think that he has at the moment more fuel than Gabor, Zesty, and his lap times are quite close anyway. So I mean the speed is there. We can't forget that Niva is actually a professional sim racer, and he's been driving for Furia in Rain Sport lately, and yeah, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, it's very, very fast drivers throughout the field here at Fragmaster's Fox Friday, South City. This is the longest layout, of course, that we have available to us at South City. 4 kilometres, 2.5 miles is the challenge for the drivers here. 15 corners, a mix of fast and slow speed technical sections as well. So there's very different challenges throughout the field, as we see Ayub going into pit lane for looks like Trunk going to just take fuel at the moment, but Ayub has had a very strong start to his race as well, and will be keen to build on that. There is Ayub just exiting pit lane now, and currently 12th at the moment. So Zdravko, Ayub's been a driver who has shown lots of speed so far in this race.
Yeah, let's see how it goes now. I mean, we are kinda in unknown land now. We don't know how much fuel drivers put on. We do see that they didn't change the tires, but you can never be sure how much fuel they actually took. And some might look fast, but maybe it will show that they didn't put enough fuel in, and it will be interesting to see how it plays out in the long run. I think Ayub will end up quite higher up than P12 that he is now. He should be around Ohnifos and Doni that we are watching now on the screen.
Yeah, here is a battle for 6th place in this race. Donny putting Fragmaster's Ohnifos under a little bit of pressure here, but of course this is the part of the lap where he will be compromised with that car as he's running that higher downforce setup as we suspect. So this will give Onifus a little bit of breathing space. He doesn't need to defend this position going into the left-hander, and he can just focus on the apexes ahead of him here. But this is now the phase that we will see over the next few corners where Donny will look very, very fast indeed. So he'll be doing everything he can to put him under a little bit of pressure here. Can he get the move done in the tight and twisty parts of this South City layout? And if he can, then it's just about holding on for as long as possible on the straights, but not managing to do so this time. So Donny just needs to settle for 7th place at the moment.
Yeah, settling for this moment, but who knows what happens on the next straight. He's not far enough. All you need is a tiny bit of a mistake from a car ahead. Just get you into the draft zone.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, these drivers are all very, very fast, as we say. So if there's one mistake from the car ahead of them, they will just capitalise on that. So Onifus still in 6th place at the moment, and again, this is the moment where he can just breathe that sigh of relief on the straight. So he knows that Donny won't be able to close that gap as much as he would like. So Onifus holding on to 6th place for the moment, and lap 36 here at South City. Can you believe that? There's been so many big talking points in this race so far, and many more to come as well, I suspect. But you know, been great action here throughout at Fragmaster's Fox Friday, and we are seeing that gap between Zesty and Gabor just come down ever so slightly to 2.7 seconds. So Gabor is putting in a few of the fast laps at the moment, and as we see almost side-by-side action through the chicane there, very nearly between Onifus and Donny. But it's a great battle for P6. Onifus, this is the part where he just really needs to make that car as wide as he possibly can to hold on to that position, but Donny a little bit too far back to make the move in this right-hander, but very close on exit. I mean, just look at the acceleration from that car. Zdravko, is there anything potentially that Donny is doing with the gear ratios in that car, because he is very fast on the exit of the slow corners?
Sorry, Zesty pits, lap 37, and Zesty is in the pit lane. So 37 laps strategy for MRC team. The pit stop was just 3.4 seconds, so very quick splash and dash into their tanks. So let's see how it turns out. Meanwhile, Gabor already does fastest lap, 31.38, smashing his previous fastest lap of Neva by almost 0.2 of a second.
So that would tell me Zesty is aiming for lap 55, half of the race.
Yes, could well be. Currently leading the way with a gap of 6 seconds from Neva in 2nd place, who of course has made a pit stop earlier on in this race. Johnny Catila currently 3rd at the moment for World Class Lines, and we just have to go back to this great action for the battle in 6th place. Donny doing everything he possibly can to put the pressure on Onifus here, but Onifus doing a great defensive job, goes very narrow into the inside initially there, just to fend off the threat of Donny, who we ride on board with here just now. Great action here at South City, and you can see just how much these drivers are pushing the Fox cars to the edge here. But this is again that part of the track where Donny just has to bide his time now and stay in the draft. But look how close he's getting here. In fact, he's got a very good run. Has Onifus potentially just got it a little bit wrong there on exit, because that is the closest we have seen Donny to the rear of that Fragmaster's car on the straight. So very good run indeed here. But in fact, there is the reason why, because Onifus goes into the pit lane to make his pit stop here on lap 38 of Fragmaster's Fox Friday at South City. So that is fuel in that car, and we're hearing is damage being repaired on the Fragmaster car as well as the Zdravko.
And he gets a drive-through penalty. He got into the pit lane too hot. so he will have to serve that one. Meanwhile, Joni Katila has come knocking on the doors of our former leaders of the race. Joni is currently on a very low fuel, so he is at the moment quite a bit faster than Eva, and I suspect that in the next lap he will be right on it, right on his tail. Or maybe in this turn, not the next lap, yeah.
That's a very, very good run there from Joni Katila there, and just looked like Neva had gone a little bit wide, if anything, and the number 72 car is beginning to come under pressure from the world-class Lions machine. So Joni Katila, a very fast driver, as we know, and he could find himself in second place here, potentially in a few laps, but we know that Neva is, again, also a very fast driver and a very strong defender as well. So let's see how this battle unfolds. But Joni Katila, all of a sudden in third place at this moment and looking very, very fast indeed. And, he looks very confident in that car as well, Zdeněk.
Yeah, indeed, and this battle might cost Neva some time, which he will then miss when battling Gabor. The gap to Gabor is now 7 seconds, and it will every little loss in this kind of race, in this distance, will be magnified by the end of the race. So let's see how much time he loses battling Joni Katila, who is already in the draft distance. He will have a draft on this straight, but let's see if he makes if he has any advantage from it. Doesn't look like he's getting just a bit closer, but not enough to have a go into this turn. But if he has a good exit, let's see. Perhaps not this lap. He will have to stay behind for a while.
So a bit of strategy update. If a driver started with full tank of fuel, we kinda expect them to pit on lap 45, 46. So that is in the next 5 laps. So Neiva now has a choice. Does he fight for 5 laps or does he just let Johnny go? Because he will be in the pits in the next 5 laps, that's for sure. Or maybe even sooner.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how Neva approaches this battle, because Joni Katila will be, of course, he'll be getting as much speed as possible out of that car, particularly when it's low on fuel as well. So he'll be really benefiting, particularly down the straights here, as he begins to reel in Neva. And of course, both cars just got a little bit of traffic ahead of them to contend with as well. So that again makes Neva's battle here all the more difficult, because he's got to try and navigate his way through that traffic. It's been the story of his race in so many ways as well. But Joni Katila, we expect will be pitting in the next few laps, but looking to try and get as many fast laps on the board as possible between now and then. And Zdeněk, this is an interesting battle as well that we're seeing, and one where Neva will be just hoping that Joni Katila pits sooner rather than later, so that he can just focus on the track ahead of him.
Yeah, both guys' tires are already getting thin, so Neva will, as Zdravko said, go to the pit very early. So actually Gabor might have a bit of upper hand. I don't know. It's just very complicated at this point. But it will be very interesting. We are not even halfway through, still 14 laps to go till we reach that point. As I've been talking about the back markers earlier on, as we still watch Joni chase Neva, and this is a good move actually. Here he lets him by. No, it's actually
he lifted
time saving. Yeah. He lifted. He just lets him through because he doesn't want to lose time battling, as he probably sees that Joni is faster. As I was about to say, there was a lot of incidents with the back marker. I was checking the replay what happened to Gabor earlier on, and actually there was a blue flagged car of Lilith who didn't let Gabor pass in the technical part of the track, and Gabor just ran into the back of him and spun. He just lost 7 seconds like that. And Lilith has been involved in a lot of incidents with top drivers, as I saw in the chat later on, that MRC team was complaining that they almost hit him, and so did Niva earlier on. So these cars might still play a big role as well, but I would be really concerned about them as we see that the Lilith is multiple laps back already. So hopefully he will be safer driver from now on.
Well, you can't really expect that car to delete itself off the face of the track. As far as I saw, they have been moving away on the straights. It might have been just a case of Gabor being overeager or expecting a present to happen that didn't materialize.
That's what I said. I mean, he just ran into back of him. He could have been more patient, but he just decided not to. Still, a bit more observance from the back markers in some parts of the track, not in this particular one, would be a bit more welcome.
Yeah, as we see Christian going into pit lane to take some fuel in that car. A little bit of damage we're hearing as well for the Fragmaster machine, so Christian will be just waiting a little bit longer in the pits here. Let's take a look at Niva once more in third place in the moment, of course. Just lifting off to let Johnny Katila pass and into second place, of course. Katila yet to pit. Niva has already pitted earlier on in this race. Lap 43 here at South City. There is Johnny Katila, second place at the moment, 9 seconds behind our race leader Gabor. And there is indeed our race leader Gabor just making his way through that tight and twisty chicane. So a little bit of a gap developing and a little bit of clear air as well as a Zdravko. It looks like Gabor doesn't need to worry about making his way through any traffic.
Yeah, I think the driver that has to worry is Zesty, because Gabor has been putting in some lightning fast times, and Zesty might lose his position, and he was 5 seconds ahead of Gabor before he pitted. And it might come all down to nothing as Gabor sets fastest split 2 of the race.
Yeah, Gabor looking very, very fast indeed. But there is Zesty, that driver that you mentioned, who will be potentially just wondering how this race is going to develop. 43 laps gone here at South City, and Gabor leading the way from Johnny Katila. Then Niva currently in third place at the moment with Zesty in fourth. Then it's Roger Chen in fifth place. There is Onifis just coming out of the pits as well. So Onifis making a stop there too, and just rejoining the circuit into 11th place at the moment, a little bit ahead of Pablo in the number 90 car. So a few interesting battles again developing throughout the field here as a few cars make their way into pit lane. And Zdeněk, this is the part of the race now where again it's all about these drivers just staying focused and working out their strategy for the second phase of this event.
Yeah. Speaking of strategy, there was just a chat between the Sidus drivers and between Botsi and Gabor. And Gabor will pit at the end of this lap because he confirmed he is not able to complete 45 laps. So this is his final lap of this stint, as he was dropping really fast splits one by one. The fastest lap is now 1:31.21. And 10 seconds, almost 11 seconds ahead of Niva, so he gained a lot of time. This will be interesting how far behind he comes out, and he goes in as predicted, as it was stated in the chat. It brakes just in time for the pit entry line and stops in the first stall, almost millimeter perfect.
Yeah, a good opening stint for Gabor. and there he is, just in pit lane, waiting for quite a moment there. Now exits pit lane, and it is a driver change as well. So Gabor leaves the car for Botzi, who enters this event for the first time, and it's been a good start to this race for Team Sidus, and Zdravko, they'll be hoping to try and continue to take that momentum with them into the second part of this race.
Well, I gotta say I'm puzzled by the strategy decision. So they committed to have one more tire change, and that could lose them some time, and they didn't really gain anything on Zesty, but they did change tires and they did refuel for the full tank. So they are on track to have one less pit stop than the Naiva and Zesty and Roger Chen, but they will be slower on track, and the way I see it, I think Roger Chen should be able to catch up to Botzi now and pass quite easily, and Zesty and Naiva should be able to run away at a moment.
Yeah,
but
we have
then through the middle of their stint, when they pit again, Botzi should regain the lead. And I'm thinking we will not know what is what until like lap 100.
Well, that would be a very dramatic end to this race if that's the case. 10-lap shootout potentially to decide the outcome of this Fragmasters Fox Friday here at South City. Johnny Catila just coming out of pit lane. There is Roger Chen into third place, making the move on Botzi, who is of course just on the opening few laps here of this event. That is a driver change. Gabor leaving the Team Sidus machine for Botzi. Fresh tyres on that car as well, of course. So Roger Chen now into third place, and most of the cars throughout the field have made at least one pit stop now. So again, the different strategies that we're just seeing beginning to play out here is just mixing up the order ever so slightly, but it is Neva back at the lead here at South City. Zesty in second, Roger Chen in third, then Botzi now in fourth place with Johnny Catila, who's of course just made his first pit stop, and fifth place. But let's take a look at this battle here, just with Pablo currently in 12th place, looking to put Fragmaster's Onifis under a little bit of pressure here. Side by side they go across the start finish line. Onifis on the inside, Pablo on the outside, but Pablo has the move in the left-hander, but now just a little bit vulnerable, and in fact contact between the element, and Pablo manages just to keep that car going, but Onifis almost comes grinding to a halt there. Pablo had that move done on the outside and left-hander, but then was just a little bit vulnerable on the entry of the corner. Onifis just had his nose up the inside there, but both cars just managing to keep going. Looks like a little bit of damage to the nose of that Fragmaster machine. So Onifis in 11th place at the moment, Pablo taking 10th place, and that was an interesting battle to say the least, and it's not done just yet, because here is Onifis once more, and again contact between the two cars, and Pablo managing to keep the number 90 car going in 10th place, but this has been and again further contact there. Good. That was Onifis trying to throw that car up the inside there, but Pablo had that move covered off, but contact once more. Onifis will be suffering from substantial damage to the front of that car. Look at the nose there, just leaning towards the left-hand side. That will be compromising his aero quite significantly. Look how wide he's had to go as a result of that round the left-hander, and Onifis has had a very lively lap to say the least here, and opts to go into pit lane. Zdravko, what's your thoughts on that lap? Because so many big talking points to say the least.
I think that was a bit of red mist for both of them, and what it did was it killed their tires. Onifis pitted, I think that was a smart move to do, and Pablo did not, and I'm not sure he can survive this lap without having a flat.
Yeah, absolutely, because Zdeněk, Pablo had the lead for much of that lap, but a little bit of contact between both cars. Let's see, looks like potentially Pablo could be just running with a little bit of damage as well. So Zdeněk, this will be interesting to see if Pablo does decide to pit here as well.
Yeah, and looking at his right rear tire, I think he should, because as already Zdravko mentioned, it's not looking like it will last very long. There was a lot of heated chat on the server between these two and the teammates, so I think there was a bit of unnecessary battling. I mean, Onifus could have been more patient, and Pablo not so aggressively defending, but it's hard to judge because I was watching just a bit of the fight. Pablo already also going to pits because, as I said, his tire is almost done, and it's already more than ready for a change.
So Pablo pitting for tires and Onifus really adds in another variable into this race, and that is tire life. So I was just looking at top 3, Neiva, Zesty, and actually top 4. So I was looking at Neiva, Zesty, and Roger Chen, as Roger Chen pits. They will soon be in tire trouble. Roger Chen already decided that enough is enough, and he has pitted on lap 49, and that's a big problem now for him, because I don't think he can make it until the end of the race. If he managed only 49 laps on the one set of tires, there's no chance he can make 60 on another.
Yeah, second stop for Roger Chen, currently now in 6th place in this race. There is our leader, Nieva, back at the front in the number 72 car. Again, once more having to battle with traffic. So that looks like, I think that is Adol, who is needing to give way there as a result of being the car in traffic. There is indeed Adol, currently 17th place at the moment for the number 16 car. But Neva, our race leader, once more just making his way through the traffic, and Zesty in second, and then Botsy is currently occupying the final step of the podium in Fragmaster's Fox Friday. 50 laps gone here at South City. There is Onifus, who of course is just out of the pits after that battle between him and Pablo, and is looking to just battle it out here with his Fragmaster teammate Alston, who is in 14th place at the moment. So Zdeněk, this could be a very interesting battle between the two Fragmaster cars.
Yeah, indeed, guys will have some fun because this is their celebration and they will want to enjoy it to the fullest. Still not even halfway through the race, but I just want to point out the pit stop length of the Sidus car was 12 seconds. So I think as they went 44 full laps in the first stint, this looks like it will be another 44 sprint to the finish. So I wouldn't write them out. Still, it's a big gap to first place, but the strategy might in the end play into their hands, as Neva. As we see Fragmaster cars getting close together. Alston goes very deep and just allows Onifus to go by, as Onifus would like to see him higher up in the race, but unfortunate events just a few laps back with Pablo led to him to have damage on the right front wheel, and he had to pit for repairs. As I said, Neva with the fast first stint gained a lot of time. This might happen in the last stint with Sidus, who might be fast, as Onifus laps his another teammate Finn UK. So this is Fragmaster moments in this race on this stream.
Yes, and Onifus just making his way past Alston for 14th place in this race. So train of Fragmaster cars here making their way through South City, and yes, Onifus now has it all to do after that battle with Pablo. So Pablo currently in 12th place, but Onifus is in 14th now, and quite a little bit down the road into this battle as well. So Onifus will need to start really putting in the fast laps if he wants to close that gap. But just noticing a couple of cars, of course, have already made 2 stops, Roger Chen being one of them. We've seen that a few laps ago. Christian 2 stops as well. Pablo and Onifus, of course, needing to make an extra stop as a result of that battle. Finn UK also been in pit lane twice as well. But there is Botsi, who is a new driver to this race as well, and Zdeněk, another driver with lots of speed behind the wheel of that car.
Excuse me, I was just a little bit out of zone. So
No, we were just speaking a little bit about Botsi, who is new to this race. Of course, it was Gabor who was behind the wheel of that Team Sidus car in the first part of that race. But Botsi now is also a very fast driver and will be keen to really make an impression on this event.
Oh, definitely. I mean, he has to, because their strategy is dependent on how he performs now. As I predicted, this stint should be a long one, so he has to get into rhythm, and as he is notorious for his clean, fast driving and not being overly aggressive. I think this should be a good one, and my prediction for the race is that he will hand the car for the final sprint to Botsi, because to Gabor, because Gabor is the Formula guy, and he will have the push, the advantage of his skills in high grip cars to gain as much as possible. I said at the beginning of the race that Botsi is probably a bit slower driver in this team, but just only tiny, but still very fast. But yeah, I think Gabor will do the final stint.
Yes, and Gabor was very impressive in the start of this race, but of course, started this event in pole position, then dropped down the order a little bit and had a great battle with Zesty for second place for much of this event. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see if it is indeed Gabor that is behind the wheel for the final part of this race. We're almost halfway through Fragmaster's Fox Friday here at South City. It's great to have your company here as we celebrate 13 years of Fragmaster racing on Live for Speed, and this has been a great way to celebrate the legacy of Fragmaster here, because it's been great action throughout the field here at this event, and it is not done by a long way because Niva has of course led much of this race, but it's not been easy. The number 72 car has really had to battle its way through lots of traffic throughout, whereas the cars just behind him, Zesty and Gabor were battling. That gap was extending, but it wasn't so easy for Niva. But here is Zesty, currently second place at the moment. And Zdravko, how do you think Zesty will be feeling as we reach the halfway point of this race?
I would think he will beat on the next lap. I think it doesn't make sense to go further. You just kind of split the race in the half. He doesn't have the tires on him to extend it much longer anyway. It's quite marginal already. So it will be interesting to see if he manages to survive to lap and a half that he has to make. But yeah, I would fully expect Neiva and Zesty to pit on the next lap.
And Zdravko, when these tyres begin to lose performance, do you feel that difference very, very quickly behind the wheel of the car, or is it more of a kind of gradual thing that you notice in the Fox?
Well, it's gradual because every lap they kinda lose a bit. You can offset it a bit by being just a bit more aggressive, but once they lose tread, there's no coming back, and the grip and the temperatures are gone, and then you just gotta manhandle the car and see what fits your strategy best.
Yeah, that's it. Tyre management is such an important part of racing, and Zesty, we suspect, will pit in the next few laps, but Botsy, of course, is on a different strategy, pitted a little bit earlier for that driver change. Gabor, of course, behind the wheel at the start of this event, but Botsy now currently third place at the moment and on the final step of the podium. Johnny Katila in fourth place as well. Igor, who did pit very, very early in this race, is into fifth place as well now. So we're just seeing the order beginning to evolve again in this event. So there is Igor, fifth place at the moment. Roger Chain in sixth place, just a few seconds down the road. And it looks like we do have the race leader into pit lane, and there is Niva in for some fuel in that car, the number 72. Let's see if this will be a long stop. And in fact, just look there behind her, there is Zesty. Zesty follows Niva into pit lane. So P1 and P2 opting to change, and it looks like Zesty changing for tyres as well, we're hearing.
Yeah, but both drivers refueling and changing tires, so it's a 11 stop from the 72 team of Niva and TJ. MRC also changing driver to Happy, and their pit stop was over 13 seconds.
Yep, two new drivers enter this event, Zdravko, and how do you see both of those drivers approaching this second half of the race?
This is where it gets scary for everyone else on the track, because if you thought Neiva is fast, TJ is 3 times Fox Friday champion, and there are not many that are faster, but there's definitely no one that is more consistent than TJ is, and this will be a hard fight for Botsy. But what I am looking at is that Johnny Katila has put himself right into the race. He has overtaken Zesty on the track, and he's only 4 seconds behind TJ at the moment, and only 9 behind Botsy, and that is the leader. Let's not forget that Johnny had to overtake quite a few cars to get to the 5th position, and by that time top 4 were already quite far ahead, and now he's gaining back, I think.
Yeah, it looks like it's been a great drive from Johnny Katila, currently on the final step of the podium, but of course, as we know, anything can happen in this event. So Johnny Katila, we're doing everything he possibly can to just put the pressure on the cars ahead of him. But Zdeněk, this is now the second half of the race where we see new drivers enter the event. And how important is it that the first few laps are as clean as possible to allow the drivers just to settle into this event and build a little bit of confidence?
Oh, definitely very important. I mean, you know the car, you know the track, you have driven it a million times before if you are TJ, Botsy, Yoni or Happy, but still you are jumping into heavy car with cold tires as you have to just settle in drive easy, but also very fast at the same time to keep you in contention and get the car in the right condition for your stint. So yeah, drivers have to be mentally prepared and know what they are going to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And Zdravko, it's one as well where we're just seeing this gap for the lead of the race, 5.8 seconds between Botsy and TJ. Johnny Catila then in third place. So we are seeing the field just spread out a little bit, but anything can happen in this event, and this is the moment where again traffic management will be very important for the drivers to contend with.
Yeah, I think what might help Botsy is that Johnny will probably catch up to TJ during his stint. Let's not forget that now the P1 and P3 have same strategy, and P2 and P4 have a counter strategy, so they will shuffle around a bit. But Botsy will probably, I think maybe TJ will actually pit right at the same time as Botsy does, and then on the final stint Botsy or Gabor will have new tires while TJ will have the old ones, and that will be fascinating to see how it goes. I'm not sure who will take the last stint for Siders, because Botsy is having ridiculously good pace.
Yeah, absolutely. And lap 58 of Fragmaster's Fox Friday here at South City. It's been great to have your company at this event as we celebrate 13 years of Fragmaster racing in Live for Speed. This has been a great endurance special so far, and lots more drama still to come, I'm sure. But Zdravko, this feels like a moment to just reflect on so many years of great racing here on Live for Speed with Fragmaster. Of course, you were on the grid at the first ever Fox Friday. Tell us a little bit about your memories from that event.
I need to shuffle. I need to dig deep now. Yeah, that was 13 years ago, so I think I spun on first lap. Yeah, that's what happens. I think if I'm not mistaken, it was something like FE4. So firm bay black, and I spun on the first lap and then managed to claw back. I think I finished before. Yeah, it was the Fox Fridays are kind of continuation of Fox Junkies pickup server that FM ran. I think that I can say back in the day at this moment. So when I joined LFS in like 2008, there were pickup racing with Fox every day, and there was always somebody on the server, and I think that Failure, the leader of FM at that moment, decided to do something a bit more serious, still casual, still just having fun, but a bit more serious, a bit longer races. So the Friday events came to fruition. We raced a few of them before making it officially every week and starting to track the results and the points. And yeah, here we are, more than 700 races later. Yeah, it's a quite big database. I'm not sure if there is any event that has been going on longer in LFS. I would say no.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a fabulous achievement from everyone at Fragmaster. And tell us a little bit, Zdravko, about some of the drivers that you were racing against at that time. Who are some of the names that you remember?
Well, definitely Leo Payson. He has been there from the beginning, and I kind of remember that Botsy was there too. I I can't say for certain that he was, but I think he was. There were definitely more drivers that are driving here and there these days, but not today. I'd say that there's at least 10 drivers driving races this year that draw in the first season. So, and obviously Fragmaster's Fresh is, well, how can you say it? He's omnipresent. He's always here. There are no races without Fresh.
Yeah, and Zdeněk, you've been commentating on so many different races on Live for Speed. Tell us a little bit about some of the Fragmaster events that you remember commentating on for us here at Sim Broadcasts.
Well, so far I have been working on Fragmasters streams only for the Turbo Cup for the first 2 streamed rounds, and it was always very, very interesting. The Turbo Cars TBO class, I mean XRT, FXO, and RB4, very nicely matched as the organization. Oh, sorry, actually that's not Fragmaster. My mistake. That's Born to Race. Sorry for for not the right advertisement for Fragmaster.
It's good advertising. It's just not right one. Yeah.
But it's a good race series. Yeah. Actually, I don't remember commentating on a Fragmaster event before. I don't know. Maybe I did, but my memory doesn't serve me so well in these cases. So I really cannot be of service.
Of course, so many races throughout the years as well, Zdeněk, and it's one that it goes to show, just how strong the community is here on Live for Speed.
Yeah, there's a lot of names who just stick around for the fun and enjoy the game. And usually when you go to server and to different racing series or pickup races, you met a lot of the same names, but it is what it is, and it is very, very good actually, because you know who are you racing with. It's gonna be good, or it's gonna be a bit hard, or it's gonna be easy and stuff like that. And you know the guys, you can talk to them. They are easygoing and fun, and it's just much better than if you go, for example, to iRacing. You get a lot of more content. Yeah, you get a lot of more cars. You get races, dozens of races every day. But then there's a lot of stress involved with some of their features, the iRating, the safety rating, the complaints. Everybody's stressed so they don't lose out too much, and it's just not the same. So yeah, I also like LFS for this, and I'm all for this community.
Yeah, absolutely. Just seeing Igor going into pit lane. Of course, Igor stopped quite early in this race, so back in the pits on lap 63, and it's an interesting point there, Zdeněk, because Live for Speed, it's home for so many of these drivers. Lots of different simulators available out there, but Live for Speed is just it's the one that these drivers just keep coming back to.
Yeah, and this might be a very subjective, but I have driven a lot of simulators. I have passed in the past 18 years since I started sim racing, and yeah, it's been 18 years actually. R Factor 1, R Factor 2, race, iRacing, Assetto Corsa, and I mean Assetto Corsa gets very close to the quality of tire physics and physics overall to LFS, but LFS just feels most right. I mean, some people complain that there's not real tracks, not real cars, and just it's just what it is. We know what's the state of LFS, but still, it's most fun to drive. You can do whatever you want. You can cruise, you can drift, you can race. Multiple classes like road cars, formula cars, GTRs. It's all there, and you cannot just race road cars in other sims like in here, because the road tire model is just not that good. I mean, you can model less grip in the other sims, but it's just not there. It's not exactly as it is in LFS, and to me, these little things. I mean, it's important, but also it's all little things adding together that these things make LFS special to me and to a lot of other people.
Absolutely great stuff, Zdeněk, and that was Igor in pits for fuel and tyres, what you so back out in the field in 8th place as we ride on board with Johnny Katila, and Zdravko, 13 years of Fragmasters events here on Lift Speed's a fantastic achievement. So what is next for Fragmasters? What can we expect in the future?
Well, I'm happy to announce that next what we can expect is we will start to broadcast in cooperation with Sim Broadcast once a month a Fox Friday race. It will be second Friday of the month. It has been one that our friends drivers have been asking about for some time, and now we finally make it happen, and for this year, and I think that already for the next year it has been agreed in principle that once a month our race will be broadcasted, and everybody likes a broadcasted race. It just lifts up the race to another level, and you can show it to your mom, your friends, and I don't know, maybe you can get a girlfriend with showing her how good you are at sim racing.
Yeah, it's great to be able to broadcast these events, and what makes that even better is just the quality of the racing that we've seen here at South City. It has been 66 down the road from Botsy. Johnny Katila still in 3rd position at the moment. It's been great action throughout here, and it's been fabulous to bring you all the drama, all the big talking points here at Sim Broadcasts, and I suspect there'll be lots more entertainment to come in the final few phases of this race. We're riding on board with Johnny Katila, just navigating a little bit of traffic, but beginning to close down TJ here, and Zdeněk, we spoke earlier about just how fast a driver Johnny Katila is, and looks like he is beginning to just put TJ under a little bit of pressure here.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out why is that, because his tires are a bit older, so maybe it might play into his advantage. But as Zdravko rightfully marked TJ as a faster driver, a very good driver in Fox, multiple times champion. It's a good point is that his team already pitted twice in 55 laps, which is very interesting, and it will be definitely more pit stops than Sidus have, at least from the point where I am, how I see it. But Johnny will make his life a bit more complicated, probably.
Yeah, TJ, the only driver in the top 3 to have been in pit lane, or that team I should say, been in pit lane twice at this event. So Zdravko, you mentioned just how important strategy is at this event, and it really does set us up for a very, very interesting finale to this endurance special here at Fragmaster's Fox Friday. You know, it's one where, you know, we've seen so many interesting battles throughout the field, but this battle almost in the pit lane has been very interesting to watch and see the different approaches that the drivers and teams have been taking in this event.
Yeah, I think this race has got that kind of Jekyll and Hyde vibe. At the first half of the race, it was non-stop action, and now the field has kind of spread out, but everybody is on different strategies, so that's why they are not close together. And that's the answer why Johan is catching up to TJ. His tires are older, so in LFS, all the tires, when they are over the, let's say, top of the hit cycle, they are faster, and he has less fuel. He has probably 20-30% less fuel than TJ has at the moment, and yeah, that makes a difference, and that's why Yoni is catching up. And pace-wise, I couldn't tell you. I know both of them quite well, but I think that, you know, they're at the top of the pace. There's no upper pace level than you get from Yoni, TJ, or Botsi. Like there's nobody faster.
Yeah, absolutely. It's you know, again, a great testament to the skill and ability of all the drivers throughout the field here at this event. You know, it's been very, very impressive to watch, and Yoni Katila, that we ride on board with at the moment, is just doing everything possible to reel in TJ ahead of him. So here he comes just into the left-hander here, down into third gear, and it's just about trying to keep the speed up here, particularly in the middle phase of that corner, so you can get the power down and get a clean exit, because you want to take that momentum with you all the way down this long start-finish straight and try and get that opportunity to maximise the speed here in the Fox car. And of course, we're seeing some drivers and teams running with higher levels of downforce than others, so some drivers opting to really take the benefit of the long straights, where there's others that prefer the tight and twisty, the technical parts of this track, where they can really benefit under braking and through acceleration. So it's been a very interesting battle here, and witnessing the different approaches that the teams are taking to the car setups. And you know, it's been one as well where it's producing great action into the bargain, and we're seeing just, you know, Johnny Katila beginning to close in ever so slightly with TJ. But let's take a look at this battle here for this is again a move for position here. This is for P7 Igor, just ahead of us here, looking to just hold on to that one if he can. Just doesn't need to defend at the moment, but Zdravko, it looks like Igor might have to start thinking about defending through the next few corners.
Yeah, I think maybe Loco follows Igor through these slow turns, but right around when they get to the hairpin, he will try to set Igor up. You wanna force car ahead to maybe defend the inside, make him slower on the exit, or maybe he can just overtake him here. That also works, yeah.
It certainly does. What a move that is. So 7th place is over in the blink of an eye. So there we go. Igor down into 8th place, and Zdeněk, that just goes to show how quickly overtaking manoeuvres can be done here at this event.
Oh yeah, there was a chat line from team number 15 Rakes that Igor is afraid of Loco, so a bit of banter between these teams. But yeah, it came as a surprise. Maybe Igor was just not keen to really battle. But he's also, I should mention, he's also the remaining RP team. They had team number 2 driving in this race, and they spectated a long time ago for unknown reason to me. I was just watching the replay, and the driver just lifted off, spectated, and left. So yeah, Igor maybe playing it safe, so they finished the race.
Yeah, absolutely. Igor 8th place at the moment. So yeah, interesting to see how that battle unfolds. But let's see how this battle for 2nd place develops, because Joni Katila 7/10 of a second behind TJ at the moment. So Katila putting TJ under pressure once more in this event. It's 9 seconds is the gap between 1st and 2nd place, but Joni Katila is just beginning to put the pressure on, and Zdravko, this is the moment that TJ has been dreading. He won't want to be in this position at all, because Joni Katila really does look like he has the momentum with him at the moment.
Yeah, but TJ will not crumble under pressure that easily. So as we watch Yanni catch up to TJ, and I think that will take us some time. I'd like to ramble about something that Zdeněk was talking before, and about why LFS is why we like LFS and how it compares to other scenes. And I think he was spot on. The word I would use is it feels alive. Like when you drive the cars, if you drive like a GTI car and then you go and drive something similar in real life, it feels similar. It feels the most similar to real life behavior of a car. For me, other sims have some flaws that make them not as realistic to my mind. Some sims kinda you can lose the car too easy under the throttle, and on some sims the brakes are just, I don't want to call them dumb, but they are probably. I remember when I think it was Verstappen talking about iRacing, and he pointed out that it doesn't have to be hard to drive to be realistic. And I mean, iRacing did good and took it to the heart, and developers really improved the sim after that. But yeah, that's something that LFS had from the start. It's not hard to drive. Some could say it's forgiving, but what this is, you can feel the car, you can feel when you lose the grip, and it still gives you some time to catch it, to react to it. So yeah, I fully support what Zdeněk said, and LFS, to me, it also feels the best, and I have, I think I have driven every relevant sim. I haven't only driven Rainsport because that is close to anyone not in the inner, I won't say what I mean, circle. Yeah, that one really grinds my gears. Yeah, that like 40 people can drive it. But maybe we can ask Mr. Naiva what he thinks about Rainsport. He can drive it and he still drives LFS, so yeah, that's something.
Yeah, that's it. It's all about immersion in sim racing, and trying to get as close to the action that we see in the real world as best as possible, and Live for Speed does a great job of doing just that in so many different ways. And again, we're seeing the quality of the action throughout the field in this event, doing doing everything they can, drawing upon all the knowledge and experience of years of action behind the wheel in Live for Speed. And we're seeing again this battle for 2nd place beginning to liven up. Just 0.2 of a second is the gap between Joni Katila and TJ. Side by side they go. down the straight here and into the left-hander. Katila on the outside, TJ on the outside, and Joni Katila makes the move for second place. TJ, though, will, of course, have the draft down the long start-finish straight here, so could potentially fight back and take second place. Side by side to go again once more. Katila on the inside, TJ on the outside once more, but he does have his nose in front here as they go through the initial left-hander. Katila retains the inside, retains second place in this race, but TJ is not done just yet. TJ will continue to fight here. He's a very fast and experienced racer at this event, a 3-time champion as well, of course, and he is putting Katila under so much pressure here. Johnny Katila needs to go defensive here. He goes offline ever so slightly just to try and keep TJ at bay here as he goes through the chicanes here. Now up and over the hill, round the long left hand here. Try and maximise the speed as possible here as you try and take the momentum with you as we go towards the downhill right-handed hairpin here. It's all about getting your brakes, just get in as quick as you can here, get the brakes done nice and early, get the power back on, try and take the momentum with you through this very deceptively tricky part of the lap, and then go back up the hill now and onto the straight, and TJ just dropping back ever so slightly. Here's the Zdravko.
Yeah, I think TJ has more downforce. That's why he was able to be so close in the twist a bit. But what he has to look here is the long game, and long game is not Joni. Long game is Sides, Botsi, and Gabor. And what he did was he lost 2 seconds to Botsi this lap only. So he has to pray that Joni runs away and that he can run his own speed, and because otherwise Sides guys will be close.
Yeah, absolutely. And Zdeněk, you know, this could be, I suspect, a very critical part of this race, because these two drivers are continuing to fight. TJ now has the inside line going into the right-hander, side by side they go. There's contact on the exit, but TJ manages to hold on to the position. So TJ in second, Johnny Katila in third as they make their way through the chicane here. This action is all kicking off at South City. TJ in second, Johnny Katila in third place, but Zdeněk, that was very close racing between these two drivers.
Oh yeah, but definitely only playing the teamwork for Botsi. Yeah, as you said, the gap was 4 seconds. I mean, the gap was 10 seconds like 2 laps ago. Now it's over 14 seconds from second to first. So Joni helping his team a lot. Like he's breaking his back to get them back into play as a Gabor. Oh, he's already trying to attack, and this is costing TJ a lot of time again, as Gabor had his spin early in the race, and after his not very good start, this will help massively. As TJ makes a very late moves. He's driving aggressively towards Joni already with a bit of overlap. TJ still aggressive, very close wheel-to-wheel racing, not very safe at these speeds with this ping as well, because as we know, TJ is from Brazil and this server is in Europe. So, but as I have to counter myself. His internet is very stable and not very laggy. So even with this high ping, he still can drive safely, but. Still, I think there is a bit of risk, but it was all well managed by both drivers, all factors considered. So yeah, TJ has to defend, but the question is, what is beneficial to him? Because these two drivers are at the same speed, and it seems, and TJ, even if he lets him go, he will lose time. If he stays in the same position, Joni will catch up and they will battle, and he will lose time as well. So what is the game here?
Well, to me, it looked like Joni lifted just tiny bit so Botsi can run away, and TJ realized that, and he realized that he has to overtake Joni, and he can't let him get him back because he will just lose time behind Yone, because Yone will keep lifting and slowing TJ down. And so the options are overtake Yone, don't let him overtake you back, or pit and get away from him. So TJ decided to fight it.
Yeah, absolutely. TJ is doing everything he can here just to keep Yoni Katila at bay, and TJ's going a little bit wide there on the entry to the chicane. That will bring Yoni Katila into contention. 0.4 of a second is the gap between these two battling out for second place. All the meanwhile, 12 seconds is the gap between Botsy, our race leader, and these two cars here as we go into this very tricky, tight right-hander, and then again one more right-hander before we go into this long sweeping left section here, back up the bridge and onto the long straight here. Yoni Katila still 0.4 of a second was the initial gap. It's now gone down to 0.2 of a second, so Yoni Katila very much within striking range here, and will be keen to put TJ under a little bit of pressure as well here. Both cars again just trying to take the momentum with them on the exit, both taking a very similar line into that corner, but now we go on the long start finish straight. TJ will be turning his attention to defence here, I suspect, because Yoni Katila very, very lively behind the wheel of that car, but just looks a little bit further back at the moment. So TJ shouldn't come under too much pressure here as we go into the left-hander, but look how fast Yoni Katila reels him in there just on the braking. Is that potentially a little difference in the setups of these two cars? Let's ride on board with Yoni Katila as he looks to close down TJ here. Great action here at South City as we celebrate 13 years of Fragmaster racing in Live for Speed here at Fox Friday. It's been a great show here, and fantastic to have your company, and stay with us as we witness how this drama unfolds in the final part of this endurance special. Yoni Katila in third place, TJ in second place, both cars 12 seconds down the road from our leader Botsy. But great action here, and Zdravko, it looks like both cars will now need to navigate a little bit of traffic as well.
Yoni hit the wall on that slow turn on the exit. His rear tire slapped into the wall, and he lost half a second to TJ. And he picked up a bit of a damage. Let's see how that plays out. I don't think it will be too bad to drive.
Yeah.
But that was definitely a mistake, so he is pushing hard.
I would like to point out that in the previous lap, Botsy lost almost over 2 seconds, and I have checked the replay. There was Yerloko coming out of the pits, and he just got into the racing line, which cost Botsy this amount of time. So another loss for Sidus through not their own fault.
Yeah, absolutely. Traffic management has been such a key factor in this race, and is going to play an important role in this battle for second place as well, because there is TJ who makes his way past. In fact, both cars looking to make their way through cleanly through this left-hander, but Yoni Katila a little bit wide again there, just on the exit of the corner. That will just buy TJ a little bit of breathing room as they navigate two cars further ahead of them down on the road, but both cars pushing this Fox car to the absolute limit as they will again once more try and make their way through some more traffic here. So this just adds another layer of drama to this fight for second place here at South City. Side by side they go. Yoni Katila has the inside, has the move. TJ has the benefit of the draft ahead of him, but it is traffic and he finds himself on the outside. So Yoni Katila was back into second place, but can he stay there? TJ will not give this one up without a fight as they make their way across the start finish straight here. It's lap 8. He has decided to lift there by the looks of it though, because Yoni Katila retains the inside, retains second place in this race. But let's see if TJ will again go side by side as we go into the left-hander. Katila on the inside, TJ on the outside. So Yoni Katila retains second place in this race, and Zdeněk, that's another great bit of action between these two cars, and again it looks like there's going to be a little bit more traffic for them to contend with as well.
Yeah, and there will be further development, as Botsi already says he will go in, so I would suspect that he goes in after this lap, at the end of this lap. Let's see if it's true, but that would make it 30 laps to the end for Sidus if they are pitting only twice.
Yeah, absolutely. 30 laps to go in this race. This action is not done yet by any stretch. So TJ in third place, and it'll be interesting to see if we do see our leader go into pit lane very, very soon. 14.2 seconds is the gap between first and second. There is our race leader. There is Boxer, who does decide to go into pit lane, and there is a stop once more. Lap 80 here at South City. Boxy in pit lane. It looks like he's taking plenty of fuel, but it's also changing tyres here in the number 25 car. So Boxy with a new set of tyres in that car, and Zdravko, how important will those fresh tyres be at this part of the race?
I think they might not be as beneficial as we think they will be. I also think that Yoni shot himself in the foot by lifting and trying to work for Sidus. He could have tried and take this race for him, because if he has more fuel, he will be in good shape to put time over Gabor now, as Gabor took the car from Botsi.
Yeah, absolutely. Gabor back behind the wheel of that Sidus car for the final stint here in South City, but we're following this action. It is now momentarily, it is now for the lead of this race. Joni Katila is leading the way, and TJ in second place. But once more, a little bit of traffic management required for our race leaders. Joni Katila is certainly through, but no sign of TJ just yet. There he is, just a little bit further back, and Zdeněk, that will crucially buy Johnny Katila a little bit of a gap between himself and TJ.
Yeah, finally he finds himself with some gap as TJ has to work through this lap traffic. Joni, I'm still curious about his game, because as Zdravko pointed out, he might have won this for himself, but what is he going to do now? Because clearly Gabor is en route to try and close the gap, which is now 12 seconds to TJ. And Joni may still play a crucial role in this. So yeah, we have 38 laps to go, and still a lot of time for interesting development.
Yeah, absolutely. TJ in second place now. Joni Katila leading the way here at Fragmaster's Fox Friday, this special event celebrating 13 years of Fragmaster racing in Live for Speed, and it has been a fabulous event so far, and lots more action still to come, because we have a real fight for this win here on our hands. Joni Katila momentarily leading the way. Of course, Gabor now back behind the wheel of that Sidus car, currently in third place, but TJ now putting Joni Katila under a little bit of pressure. There is Gabor back behind the wheel of that car. Of course, Gabor did take the start of this race, started from pole position and then went just down the field ever so slightly, but it looks like Gabor's just got again a little bit of traffic there, because look, Alpacin, the front left of that car, does have a puncture, so that's disappointment for Alpacin there. He'll have to go into pit lane to get a new set of tyres on that car, but Gabor managing to navigate his way through the traffic, and yeah, she'll be keen to try and take the fight to the cars ahead of them. All the meanwhile, we see a battle here developing for 5th place in this race. It is Donny here in the red car, putting Roger Chen under a little bit of pressure, and Zdeněk. Donny has had a very entertaining race so far, and will be looking to try and make this move for 5th place.
Yeah, as the things are finally settling into the probably final form, Donny is finding himself in a very favorable position. I mean, Roger Chen usually aiming for the higher places, but now it's fight for 5th and 6th between him and Donny, and Donny he will feel like going for it, because this is a very good place, very good position for him if he would really manage to get 5th place.
Yeah, absolutely. Lap 83 of this event at South City. Donny has only pitted just once in this event, so looking to put Roger Chen under a little bit of pressure here for 5th place in this race. So Roger Chen, there we are, we're just seeing that on our time screens. Roger Chen has been in pit lane 3 times in this event. Donny has only been in once, but again, looking to try and finish this event strongly in that car. So Donny, one driver certainly worth keeping an eye on in this event, but Roger Chen is certainly having an impressive race of his own as well, and you know, again, just looking to navigate through a little bit of traffic here as well by the looks of it, but Roger Chen again keen to finish this race as strong as possible. So lots of interesting storylines beginning to unfold in the final phases of this endurance event, here brought to you by Sim Broadcast. It's great to have you with us here in this event as we celebrate 13 years of Fragmaster racing in Live for Speed. So lots of big talking points still to come, I suspect. And Zdravko, you know, we have Joni Katila still in the lead of this race at the moment. He's had a great battle with TJ, but how do you see Gabor approaching the final part of this race?
Well, I've got a storyline for you. It looks like Joni realized as TJ pits, it looks like Joni realized that he can actually win this, and he lowered his pace by half a second per lap, last 2 laps, and that was more than 1 second per lap faster than Gabor managed to do.
Yeah,
as TJ gets out of the pits behind Gabor and maybe behind Happy D.
Yeah,
It will be close behind, so that is the difference. 4 seconds to Gabor, and Gabor basically has the race lead in his hands. Now it's up to TJ with his better tires, so TJ will have faster tires to see if he can cut down those 4 or 5 seconds that Gabor has.
yeah, absolutely. Joni Katila leading the way here from Gabor. Happy D currently occupying the final step of the podium. TJ now in 4th place ahead of Roger Chen, with Donny in 6th place ahead of Igor in 7th. Let's follow TJ here, currently in 4th place at the moment, again just navigating traffic on his outlap, and that will of course be costing him a little bit of time here as well. 1.2 seconds is the gap between TJ and Happy D in 3rd place, so TJ will be keen to get a little bit of clear air here, and does indeed make that move just before this long left-handed corner, where again he's just trying to take that drive with him on exit, take as much of the speed as possible with him along this start-finish straight. And you know, Zdravko was pointing out there that Gabor is in a strong position, but Joni Katila is looking very, very fast as well.
That's right. Still plenty of tires left on his car, with 25 or almost 25 laps to go. They look like they could last if he manages them well. So yeah, it's still anyone's game. But I have to point out, even with all the mistakes or all the misfortune that happened to Gabor and Botsi, look how they out-raced their opponents. They were 7 seconds behind at some point, behind TJ and his teammate. now they are 5 seconds ahead. So yeah, that's a very good job.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been some great action here at South City. Here is our race leader, Joni Katila, just trying to once more navigate a little bit of traffic, but we'll be getting the benefit of the draft here as we make our way across the start-finish line. Lap 86 of this event here at South City. Side by side here with the traffic, Joni Katila taking the inside, making his way through, and it's been a very impressive event for Joni Katila, I have to say, but it's not done just yet. 15.8 seconds is the gap between Katila and Gabor. There is Gabor just across the start-finish line now in second place, and Happy D 3.4 seconds down the road in third place as well. TJ, of course, just out of pit lane as well. There he is, just at the edge of our shot there. There he is, just making his way round the left-hander, and of course, fresh set of tyres on that car, and he will be keen to put them to good use in the final phases of this event. Roger Chen in 5th place, and it's 6th place is going to Donny, Igor in 7th, Yeroloko in 8th, Ayub in 9th, Christian is rounding out the top 10 here at South City. So lap 87 of the action here at Fragmaster's Fox Friday. This has been an absolutely fantastic event so far. Lots more still in store for us, so don't go anywhere as we watch the final part of this race. Christian currently in the rounding out the top 10, and a driver as well, Zdravko, who will be keen to finish this race strongly. But this man here, TJ, as well, I suspect Zdravko will be just kind of contemplating his strategy for the final part of this event.
Yeah, but the guy I'm focused on is Joni. If he's now on the lap 88, I think he will pit at the end of this lap. But if by some miracle he can do one more lap and go to 89, he might be able to jump Gabor in the pits. And if he risks and doesn't change the tires and tries to hold on with those tires till the end of the race, he will come out of the pits. Like, I think he will get quite ahead of Gabor.
Yes, this is going to be absolutely crucial. And Zdeněk, that gap between Joni Katila and Gabor is extending. It's now 17.3 seconds.
Yeah, obviously, Joni has like the better tires in LFS. They are worn, and they also has a less fuel. So he's now on. It's now his turn to perform, and that he does. So he has to use more. He has to make the most of it before he pits, and he does it well.
Absolutely, this is going to be a big point to decide the outcome of this race. Joni Katila opts to go for another lap here at South City. So we're on lap 89 of Fragmaster's Fox Friday. Will Joni Katila just try and extend this stint as long as he possibly can? He's taken another 0.3 of a second out of Gabor. That gap now 17.6 seconds between first and second place at this event. So this could be the defining moment in Joni Katila's race. He'll be looking to just push as hard as he can behind the wheel of that car, try and maximise the speed here. 17.9 seconds is the gap between Katila and Gabor. Can Joni Katila go and take the lead in this race, retain the lead of this race, and go and win this race? We're about to find out here, because Joni Katila is just pushing here with everything he's got. Here he comes into that tricky right-hander. As you see, Donny going into the pits from 6th place. 18 seconds is the gap now between Katila and Gabor. Can Joni Katila go and win this race? He will get the benefit of the tow here down the straight. That'll buy him even more time here potentially, as if he can just make his way through the traffic. Will he opt to throw that car up the inside here? Yes, he does, managing to make his way through the traffic. 18 seconds is still the gap between Joni Katila and Gabor. Can Joni Katila just even, will he go into the pits this lap? Will he go one more lap? He will not, because he goes across the start finish line once more. So we're now on to lap 90 of this race. Joni Katila, 18.4 seconds is the gap, and Zdravko, this could be the defining moment in this event.
It all depends on if he is willing to risk it with tires or not. If he changes tires, he will come, I think, behind TJ. And he will be slower. If he doesn't change the tires, he will come ahead of Gabor or similar. He might be faster at the start, but then maybe the last 5 laps will be a struggle. It's interesting one. Do you risk it for the win, or do you rely on your pace, change tires, and think you can still win it? I think when he watches the race back, he will be hitting his head that he was playing games with DJ instead of going flat out.
Absolutely, 18.9 seconds is that gap between first and second place. So does Joni Katila opt to take tyres or not here? Zdeněk, what would you do in this situation?
Well, I don't know. I have never been in such situation before. Usually spend my time driving in the midfield or in the back of the field. So what I would do is hang on until the end and see how it turns out. As we see Joni doing something I wouldn't do. It's pitting from the first place. So yeah, he lasted until end of lap 90. He pits, as we see, for tires and fuel, pit stop less than 10 seconds and gets out. He drops down to 4th place, but it's gonna be very close with everybody. He's just behind TJ, Happy, and Gabor is only a few seconds ahead. So now we have 20 laps of sprint race ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. This stage is set for a thrilling finale here at South City. Joni Katila on fresh tyres, but down in 4th place. Can he manage to make his way through the 3 cars ahead of him and go and finish this event on the top step of the podium? He has to navigate TJ, who of course is a very formidable opponent. Happy D has had a strong stint behind the wheel of that car as well, and we all know how quick Gabor is. So Joni Katila has got his work cut out here, but he will fancy his chances of going on and winning this event. Lap 91 here at South City. Gabor leading the way by 2.7 seconds, and Zdravko. Will Joni Katila be hoping that the cars ahead of him begin to fight here so that he can just bring himself into contention?
He will be definitely hoping that, but I think that Happy D has to pit for fuel once more. Now the question is, how much fuel does Happy D have in his car? That's the one big unknown we don't have. He could pit the next lap if he's fast enough, but he could very well be out on the track for, I think, 10 more laps almost.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy D last in pit lane on lap 55 of this event. So it'll be interesting to see when Happy D does opt to go into pit lane. Let's ride on board with TJ now, because TJ is in a very critical position that will decide the outcome of this race. Currently on the final step of the podium, but has Joni Katila just a few seconds down the road, but he's trying to put pressure on Happy D for 2nd place. So TJ will be doing everything he possibly can, drawing upon all his experience behind the wheel of the Fox. He is, of course, a 3-time championship winner here, a very consistent driver into the bargain as well, and let's see if he can try and make the move for 2nd place. 2.5 seconds is the gap between our race leader and this battle here, and Zdeněk, you know, TJ will be, looks like he's almost just ever so slightly out of the slipstream range here, but you know, he'll be pushing and doing everything he possibly can here to try and take 2nd place and just build a bit of a gap between him and Joni Katila.
Yeah, but it looks like everybody's copy-pasting their splits. The lap times are almost equal. It's just a few hundredths of a second from everybody. Yoni is slowest in this lap. The rest is just within 1/10 of a second. So that advantage could play into the hands of Happy and TJ because they have more used tires, which as they wear down will give them more grip. But still, Gabor on fresher tires, Yoni on fresher tires, they are holding on. They just can't do it. So it will be hard for everybody if they want to improve their positions.
Absolutely. Now, Zdravko, does TJ decide to try and work together with Happy D here? Because we know or we suspect that Happy D will come into the pits at some point within the next 10 or so laps. So does TJ just try and stay in the draft here? Or does he risk fighting when he knows the car ahead of him is likely to go into pit lane?
I think TJ has to go, so if he gets a chance, he has to attack, he has to take the place, because Happy D is just close enough to slow him down. I think TJ is being slowed down by Happy D pits. Okay, so this will release TJ 2.5 seconds to Gabor, 2.9 seconds to Yoni Katila behind him, and he takes 4/10 out of Gabor this lap. So 5 more laps like that and we gotta fight for a win.
Yeah, we certainly do here. This is going to be a thrilling finish to Fragmaster's Fox Friday here at South City as we enter the final part of this race. Let's see where Happy D emerges in the field here. Looks like it's going to be 4th minute, just ahead of Roger Chen, who there he is in 5th place at the moment, a few seconds down the road in that battle for 4th position. So again, that's one battle that we'll just continue to monitor here in the final part of this race. There is Happy D out of pit lane in 4th place, but 2.7 seconds is that gap between Gabor and TJ for the win here at South City. Of course, Yoni Katila still very much in contention as well, and Gabor just needing to navigate a little bit of traffic here in this part of the race, lap 94 of this action. And Zdeněk, you know, how important could traffic management play in the next few laps of this race?
Well, the most problematic driver, as I mentioned him before, is already gone from the server, so let's hope the impact will be minimal. But yeah, still, drivers have to be cautious of their surroundings and just do the usual. But really, you don't want to lose any time. So overtake them fast, overtake them clean, and go past. Well, sorry, that's it.
Yeah, absolutely. And Zdravko, just noticing that gap between Gabor and TJ, it seems to be just staying around between 2.5 and 2.7 seconds at the moment.
Yeah, I was looking at sector times and it looks like Gabor is running more downforce because he's faster or similarly fast in sector 1 but slower in sector 3, and sector 3 is all about how much downforce do you run. If you run less, you're faster, and yeah, they pose the same sector 2 time. That's how close it is. But I think in sector 3 TJ still has a edge.
Absolutely. Again, the approach that these teams and drivers have been taking to their setups for this race is something we've spoken about throughout this event, because it has played a very important role in deciding this one, and I suspect it still has a role to play if Gabor is running a little bit more downforce, because again, you'll be getting the benefit of it through the tight and twisty technical parts of this South City configuration, but of course we'll feel the impact of it on the straights. 2.3 seconds is the gap now between Gabor and TJ, so TJ is really beginning to pile on the pressure in this battle for the win here in this event. So TJ just looking like he's got a little bit of confidence and just beginning to try and build a little bit of momentum as well here. Does look like he has. Again, there is right on board here, just coming through the chicane. Just see one car ahead of him ever so slightly, 2.1 seconds down the road here. This is it. TJ could potentially find himself within 1 second of the lead of this race here. Again, just trying to get the power down nice and early in second gear in that corner, back up into third, up into fourth gear now as we make our way round this long left-hander section, back up the hill here, again up into fifth gear, trying to take as much speed with him here. 2.1 seconds is still that gap between TJ and Gabor on the straights here. Gabor will be again a little bit vulnerable on the straights if he's running more downforce. TJ will be looking at that gap on his screen, seeing it coming down, and Zdeněk, this gap could potentially go down to 1 second here as we approach the 97th lap of this endurance special.
Yeah, I was just thinking that this battle is kind of frozen, because a few laps ago it was looking like Gabor is managing to hold the gap, but now it's just under 2 seconds. He lost almost 4/10 in this lap. Yeah, let's see how it's the first split. Gabor posts 25.78, TJ posts 25.86, so now it's advantage Gabor in the first sector, as Zdravko mentioned, probably the downforce playing role. Now going through this long, fast left-hander into the braking zone, to the hairpin, and into the technical section, going onto the highway and up to the second split, which for Gabor is 57.91 and TJ 57.81. So he already deleted the disadvantage from the first sector and gained 1/10 as a bonus.
This is at 1.8 seconds now is the gap between Gabor and TJ will really be setting his sights on this race when he can see Gabor now just ahead of him down the road. Gabor's got a little bit of traffic to navigate here as well, I suspect, just ahead of him down the road here as we approach lap 98 of this Fragmaster's Fox Friday special event. We're celebrating 13 years of Fragmaster racing in Lives for Speed, and we are doing it in style because this has been a great event here at South City, and the stage is set for a very dramatic finale because 1.6 seconds is now the gap, and Gabor is pushing and doing everything he possibly can here. He is centimetres away from the barriers on the exit of some of these corners. See, there is the traffic that we mentioned when he was going across the start-finish straight. This will be costing Gabor time, and TJ knows it. This gap is going to go down even further here in this event. Can Gabor make his way through the traffic? It does just that, but it has cost him a little bit of time. Will it cost TJ time here though, as we go into the very slow and tricky right-hander? It will not cost him too much time at all here, because now he's going to make his way through up in the inside here, and that gap is going to come down even more because Gabor, running higher downforce as we suspect, is going to lose time down this straight, and it will feel like an eternity because it's going down to 1.4 seconds. There is our race leader with more traffic to navigate in Zdravko. This is going to be a very, very tricky situation for Gabor.
Yeah, there has been only one constant in last few laps, and that is TJ being 2/3 of a second faster in the last sector alone. So if they get into a fight, you don't want to have more downforce.
Absolutely.
Crazy lap, half a second different last time around, 1.1 over the line, and 11 laps to go.
Yeah, I'm noticing that Gabor has some right front damage, which is influencing his tire temperature. So that might also play a role in the left-hander, which are prominent on this track. He might find himself fighting the car a bit more, getting some understeer maybe. He hit the wall a few times and also had a contact with some drivers. So this all added on as he already meets another lap car which doesn't yet get out of the way, which is not what he wants. Now finally.
Yeah, it's like Gabor's meeting the traffic at the worst possible time, and TJ is almost meeting the traffic at the best possible time here, because that gap has gone down even more. It's now 9/10 of a second, and Gabor's made his way past one car, but TJ is just going to breeze past the traffic here on the start-finish straight, I suspect, so he won't lose time at all. If anything, he's going to get even closer, because he'll get the benefit of the draft here as well from the traffic ahead of him. Here comes TJ up the inside. That gap is going to go down once more. It was 9/10 of a second. It is now just 5/10 of a second as we hit lap 100 here at South City, and this battle for the win is beginning to heat up. TJ is within striking range, and Gabor knows all about it. Zdravko, is this the part of the race where Gabor really just has to do everything he can to hold TJ at bay and just drop on all the defensive skills that he has?
Yeah, there's nothing left on the table, I'd say, at the moment. And TJ is looking faster at the moment. I think the onus is on TJ to make a move now, because if he doesn't make a move in the next 2-3 laps, Gabor will come to his pace level or even get faster, because they are now at a turning point. Gabor's tires are getting faster and TJ's tires are getting slower. But at this point in the race, TJ's car is still faster. And this is basically a fight of probably two fastest guys in Fox at the moment.
Yep, absolutely. And it's a fight between two different styles in the setups of the car, two different styles in strategy, two different styles in how they will approach this battle before the win in this race. Let's ride on board with TJ, because that gap is at the moment is 0.3 of a second. He is in striking range here as we go across the start finish line. Side by side they go, and TJ will take the lead in this race, but Gabor's not going to give it up without a fight, because Gabor is on the inside as we go into the left-hander. He's still got his nose there, and TJ will have to give way. So Gabor back into the lead of this race. They exchanged places momentarily, but Gabor is back at the front once more. TJ in second place, and he will not be giving this one up without a fight. But Zdeněk, Zdravko mentioned this is going to be the crucial moment for TJ, so could we see him try and make the overtake in the next lap or so?
Well, he will try, and he will keep trying until he gets the position he wants, but one thing is to get close to the driver, and other thing is to really overtake him, and Gabor is not an easy target. He will defend for with all his might, and this is not over by far. We still have less than 10 laps left, and I think unless Gabor makes some mistake, we have almost 10 laps full of fighting until the finish line. I would favor TJ with his tire advantage, but nothing is given in this battle, and it will be a full
Gabor hits the wall
until the finish. As Gabor hits the wall again, and this gives TJ the advantage of draft, and he gets side by side again. This time he's a bit slower than the lap before, but he gets the overlap, but he won't be able to get the racing line. Gabor gets to the inside again. He will brake a bit later, hugs the inside, blocks TJ from overtaking. There's some notion of crisscross, but TJ has to line up behind again.
That is great defensive driving from Gabor. He did the same thing on the previous lap, just kept that car on the inside going into turn 2, and he holds on to the lead of this race. But TJ is not done just yet. Of course, this is the part of the track here where we will see TJ come into his own as we again go into a very fast section after this slow right-hander. TJ looking to again just try and put the pressure on here. Can he even force Gabor into a mistake? Gabor has he's been very close to the barriers in the last couple of laps here, because he's pushing with everything he's got. This is where Gabor's going to be vulnerable though on the straights. TJ goes side by side. TJ goes on the outside. He needs to get this move done before the corner. He does just that. And can he just park that car on the apex and just hold Gabor at bay here? Because he does just that. Now can he extend the lead? TJ goes into first position in this race, but Gabor now will benefit from the draft. Will Gabor be able to take that lead back as we go onto the 103rd lap of this race here at South City? Will Gabor go down the inside? TJ is doing everything he possibly can to retain the inside line, but he's done the switch back on him. Gabor is incredibly gone into the lead of this race. He takes the inside line now, going into the right-hander. TJ's not giving this up without a fight. Side by side they go on exit. They almost come together. We've got one more right-hander here, and Gabor will take the lead of this race. This is stunning action here at South City. TJ in second, Gabor leading the way. This action is not done just yet. Can TJ try and take the lead once more? He's got a gap of a tenth of a second between the pair of them. Gabor goes on the inside once more as we head downhill towards the right-hander. It's very, very difficult for TJ to do anything other than the cutback just here. He does try and have a go at it side by side to go into the right-hander, and that is a stunning bit of driving from TJ. He goes side by side on the exit, but he's not quite close enough at the moment. He's still on the outside. Gabor on the inside. He will now get the benefit of that power, of that lower downforce setup. Gabor goes into second place momentarily, but he stays on the inside line. They almost come together, and TJ back on the lead of this race, but goes wide on the exit. That brings Gabor once more into contention here. Gabor gets the benefit of the draft. Gabor now goes on the outside. TJ's now on the inside. Can Gabor take the lead in this race? We're about to hit the 104th lap of action here at South City. Side by side to go once more. Gabor on the outside, TJ on the outside as we go into the left hand. But there is Gabor trying to do that same move. He's done that same move. Gabor goes up the inside. Gabor takes the lead of this race. There's contact on exit between the pair of them. TJ is not giving this one up without a fight. Gabor still leads the way in this race. This has been a dramatic couple of laps here at South City, and it's not done just yet. TJ in second place, Gabor leading the way in this race for the moment. But Zdravko, this has been an absolutely incredible battle between these two drivers.
Let me tell you something. 1 second behind them, there's Zdeněk Attila.
Oh,
Only
wow,
once. He was 5 seconds behind. Now it's only 1 second. So keep on fighting, boys. There's one more line to come.
Incredible stuff here. A three-way fight is potentially on the cards here to decide the winner of Fragmaster's Fox Friday here at South City. And Zdeněk, that gap was 5 seconds a few laps ago, but Zdeněk Attila does find himself in a position where he could go on and get himself onto the top step of the podium here, potentially.
Oh yeah, this race came alive. We have still 6 laps to go, and Gabor holding on from TJ again. TJ tries the outside as he tried multiple times before.
He lifts.
He lifts. Yeah, good. Sorry, but still, the lap before it looked like Gabor took a revenge for the first lap where he felt he was squeezed by TJ on the first turn, and TJ does the crisscross, takes the first position, and Gabor now has all the work cut ahead of him, because now is the part of the track where his car should be stronger. He needs to use all the grip he can to keep close and possibly use the draft on the straight. Let's see if he manages that, as I have seen also in the chat that TJ might have been overusing his tires. Some people already are being afraid that he might finish with a flat tire, so that might also be a factor in this race. It's Gabor holding on TJ's rear wing, going onto the straight. He will not be close enough for a draft, so TJ advantage for this time.
Absolutely, make no mistake about it. This is now a three-way fight for the win here at South City, because Zdeněk Attila is very much in contention here. 0.3 of a second is the gap between TJ and Gabor. There is Zdeněk Attila. He is waiting here biding his time with a few laps left in this race. TJ is our leader, but for how much longer? Gabor in second place, Johnny Catila currently in third. There's less than a second here between these three cars almost, but very, very close action. 0.3 of a second is Gabor, 0.9 of a second behind is Johnny Catila. Catila will of course soon get the benefit of that draft, and he will be absolutely delighted with this situation that he finds himself in. He will have been hoping that the two cars ahead of him will have started to scrap, and that is exactly what has happened. So 3 cars in contention here for the win here at South City. TJ now leading the way as they make their way through this very tricky chicane. There is Johnny Catila just coming into the end of your screen here. It is a battle for this win here. 0.2 of a second between Gabor and TJ. That gap coming down ever so slightly. Could TJ find himself vulnerable here into the right-hander? He's just got to get his braking markers down to perfection. He does just that. He's very quick on the exit as well. TJ retaining the lead of the race at the moment. Gabor, we suspect though, could come under a little bit of pressure from Johnny Catila on these straights, but TJ leading the way. Johnny Catila putting him and Gabor under pressure though.
I think Gabor hit the wall on the exit there to the big straight. He was right in position to have draft. I think Gabor actually has a faster car at the moment if he manages not to hit the walls. His tires have come back and TJ is slowly losing his rears, and Gabor just has to avoid making the mistake like he did, and maybe he can come back again.
Well, by hitting the wall, Gabor picked up a bit more damage. It's noticeable in the graph, so it might be problematic because this is quite a lot damage already. He has his right rear tire is heating up in the wrong places. I mean, the temperature is okay, but I don't think the car is so healthy as it was before.
And this is going to be the absolutely crucial moment of the race for TJ, because if he can put in a couple of fast laps here, he could go on and win this race, but it's all going to come down to this. And can Johnny Catila try and get past Gabor here in the next couple of laps, because he will have to do just that here if Gabor is struggling a little bit with those tyres. There is TJ contending with traffic, so his gap's going to go down here. It was 0.8 of a second, but he's going to lose a little bit of time. Side by side he goes with the traffic, but TJ has lost 0.2 of a second there at least in this battle for the lead of the race. There is second place man Gabor, who will have a much easier time of contending with the traffic here, and he'll get a little bit of a benefit from the draft, I suspect, into the bargain. Johnny Catila, of course, waiting in the wings as well. So let's see how this one unfolds as we go across the start-finish line and prepare for lap 108 here at South City. A few laps here to go at Fragmaster's Fox Friday as we celebrate 13 years of Fragmaster racing here in Live for Speed, and we are doing it in style because we have a real showdown for the win here in South City. TJ currently on the top step of the podium, Gabor in second place, Johnny Catila rounding out the top 3, but that may not necessarily be the order that these 3 cars finishing in. TJ, 0.9 of a second now is that gap. It's gone back up ever so slightly. In fact, it's just now gone down at the end of the first sector. It's 0.7 of a second between him and Gabor. Gabor will have to contend with Johnny Catila, because there he comes. Johnny Catila now looking to put Gabor under pressure, and if Johnny Catila wants to win this race, he really needs to get past Gabor now. Here they come down that tight and slow right-hander. Johnny Catila trying to reel in Gabor here, try and get his benefit from the straight here and the draft as well into the bargain. Johnny Catila doing everything he possibly can. TJ's got a gap of 0.7 of a second. TJ will he potentially even try and force these cars to fight with each other? That will be very interesting to see, but with only a few laps left to go in this one, TJ might just have to try and push as much as he can to the finish. Zdravko, this is going to be a very interesting couple of laps here, and it will be very, very interesting to see how these 3 drivers approach the finale.
Yeah, don't even breathe. Gabor looks to be now faster in Sector 1 and Sector 2 and losing only a 10th in Sector 3, so That's what I thought. If he doesn't make a mistake, his car is faster. But is he faster to get 7/10 in 2 laps? I don't know. And I don't know what Yone will do. He's only 3/10 behind.
Yeah, he absolutely is. Let's ride on board here with Yoni Katila. He can see the win in this event ahead of him, but he's got Gabor in his way as well. And Yoni Katila, he has driven such a fantastic race here at South City, and it's all going to come down to this TJ leading by 7/10 of a second from Gabor on the penultimate lap of this Fragmasters Fox Friday Endurance Special here at South City. TJ leading the way from Gabor. Yoni Katila in third place. Can Katila close down the 2 cars ahead of him? He might have to rely on them making a bit of a mistake here to bring him into contention. Yoni Katila is just doing everything he possibly can to put Gabor under pressure, but Gabor is trying to focus on TJ ahead of him. 6/10 of a second is that gap between first and second place as we are about to hit the final lap of this event here at South City, and it all comes down to this. TJ leads from Gabor, Yoni Katila in third place. It is the final lap of Fragmasters Fox Friday here in Live for Speed. This has been a thrilling contest from the start, and it's going to be a thrilling contest to the finish, because here comes the traffic for TJ to contend with. He dispatches of the traffic easily, as does all 3 cars. So this is going to be it. Will TJ have lost any time there in that battle? I suspect not. Gabor, though, can just try and do everything he possibly can now to put TJ under pressure. Yoni Katila pushing all the way here as well. Gabor has been very close to those barriers in the last few laps because he's been trying to maximise the speed out of that Fox car. It is still 3 cars in contention to win this race, but it's TJ leading the way as we go downhill here and approach this tricky, slow right-hander. And TJ still holds a gap of 7/10 of a second from Gabor and Yoni Katila as we make our way back up the hill now onto this long straight. TJ leading the way again. It looks like he could just try and just drop, you'd be relying on everything he possibly can. Years and years of experience here. That gap's down to 4/10 of a second here as we're on the penultimate corner of the final lap here at South City. But TJ looks like he is going to cross the start-finish line as winner of this event here. Gabor in second, Yoni Katila in third. But it's TJ who will come across this start-finish line to win Fragmasters Fox Friday here at South City. Gabor in second place. Yoni Katila rounds out the final step of the podium. It has been pure drama here at this event, and we can just, it's just been an absolutely stunning advert for racing here in Live for Speed, and it's just been a great event to be a part of. And Zdravko, Zdeněk, this action again will come down to the final couple of corners for a few of these drivers, but Zdravko, keen to get your thoughts on what has been a fabulous event here at South City.
I'm speechless. That was quite something, and the top 3 being in a second or 2 for the last 10 laps, and the fight for the win. I mean, that was a hell of a fight. We gotta agree.
Yeah, absolutely. And Zdeněk, these 3 cars, they really did do it. They did everything they possibly could, these drivers, to try and win this race. But TJ will be absolutely delighted to finish on the top step of the podium.
Oh yeah, after how this race went, I mean, it was at one point it was anyone's game. At one point it was looking like a comfortable TJ and his teammate win. At one point it was looking like Gabor is gonna win comfortably, and suddenly we have 3 cars battling for the win, and it all came down to tiny things like tire state, tire usage, car damage, and fuel levels. And Gabor had a chance, but he just didn't make it. He had he had some bad luck. His team had bad luck in this race, but in the end, it doesn't matter. TJ and his team are the winners, and it was a really glorious 3 hours, almost 3 hours of racing, and it was totally worth it.
Yeah, it certainly was, and if ever there was a reason to get involved in Fragmaster racing here in Live for Speed, that is it, because that is a great advert for racing in this series. A great event here in Fox Friday, and so many big talking points throughout this event. But it's TJ who wins from Gabor, Yoni Katila in third place, then Happy D in fourth place. Donny takes fifth ahead of Roger Chen. It's Hedy Loco in seventh ahead of Igor. Ayub in ninth place, and Christian rounding out the top 10. But Zdravko, you must be absolutely delighted how this event has gone as we celebrate 13 years of Fragmaster racing in Live for Speed.
I think it couldn't have gone better. Yeah, it's this is how every race looks like. So come and race.
Yeah, absolutely. And Zdeněk, it's been, again, we know just how great the action is in Live for Speed, and it's been great to bring you another great event here in with Sim Broadcast. But Zdeněk, what are your kind of initial thoughts on that battle? Because it was so close at the end, and I suppose it just goes to show just how much time and dedication these drivers put into being as fast as possible here.
Judging by the reactions in the finish, there was a big smile on all Brazilian drivers' faces, even those who are not part of the team, because their community is very, very tight. And the battle, as I said earlier, to me it was won by TJ because he had a better car. So with Gabor's damage, I did not expect him to get close, as we saw in the later stages. I mean, the final laps, he just didn't have it. TJ was using all of his tires and everything he had to keep the position, and the tire advantage played to his hands. He had a better car in the end. So and with Yone joining the battle, I mean, he could have profited if the conditions were right, if something were to happen, if the battle between TJ and Gabor got more heated. But I think he was there just to observe and wait, and really there was not much of a chance for him to interfere, as also he's a teammate of Gabor, and Gabor, for me at least in this race, he was the number one.
Yeah, it was a great action throughout the field here at South City, and it's been a fabulous event to bring you here with Sim Broadcasts. And Zdravko, it's one where it just goes to show that the action here has been fantastic from start to finish. And anyone who's been watching the feed here tonight and has been thinking about getting involved, as you say, this is now is the time to do it, because you'll always get great action throughout the field.
Yeah, I mean, there was something happened at this first 50 laps. So it was just crazy, all going off, and I kind of like it when the race goes into strategy mode. So you get a bit of everything. You get like a crazy start, and for this race it was like crazy first an hour or even more, and then it kind of all slows down because everybody is on different strategies, and you're just waiting to see if they will come together in the end of the race. And holy hell, man, they did get together in a big way.
Yeah, absolutely. And Zdeněk, starting with you, just keen to get your final thoughts here at this event.
Well, my final thoughts, I definitely did not expect this to go to the final laps. I was thinking that Gabor will pull some magic out of his hat, but in the end, all all the events of the race led us to this, and I'm amazed. I mean, it was top-notch driving from everyone, and I don't think even the spectators, the viewers on Twitch and on YouTube must be happy, because even if from lap 60 to lap 90 there was a bit calm period of the race, in the end it delivered more than, in my opinion, had the right to deliver. It was absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it certainly was. And Zdravko, again, great to get your final thoughts, and tell us a little bit again once more just about the broadcast that we'll have with Fragmaster's Fox Friday throughout the year.
Yeah, so we will try to get every second race of a month broadcasted. The broadcasts will move to our normal slot, and that is 19:30 UTC. That's when the qualifying starts. We encourage everybody to use Discord, join our Discord channel, and they have to be in the voice chat. So when we do qualifying, we do them one by one. We do one out lap, one hot lap. So after the qualifying, we run 70 minutes race, give or take. We always try to aim at a race length where it lends itself to different strategies, like we had today. And what can I say? I've been driving this for 13 years. Join, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, great stuff. Well, that's it from us here at Sim Broadcasts. It's been great to have you with us as we celebrate 13 years of Fragmaster racing in Live for Speed. Thanks very much for joining us, and we'll see you again soon.